was a little intense on that music.
That was intense. I liked
Wasn't
it
it
though.
though? I mean, maybe if I turn it down a little bit, maybe it was a little much. It's kind of freaked me out for a minute, or for a minute there. Hi, Lynn. Welcome in. Welcome in, Dolphin and Firefly. So
Hey, I'll be right back.
you're good. You go right ahead. We got time to wait. I don't know if people even had time to get notifications or if they even knew we were going to go live. So
Hmm.
we'll give it a little bit to hang out and see who realizes we're live and who pops in. Um, so apparently, there's been some breaking news from the in the Koberger case. If we go in by the documents, as what I let me rephrase that: breaking news per documents in the Idaho 4 case. Is that a better way to put it?
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, after we ended the live earlier, I ended up calling my cousin back, and we were like talking forever. And the minute I got off the phone with her, I saw you guys, message. I was like, oh, holy cow! So have you guys been reviewing the stuff, huh?
Yeah,
A
for
little bit.
about maybe about an hour or so. Like we just
Oh
kept
no,
refreshing.
I am behind.
We were
I'm
just
behind.
refreshing, like right after the stream. I refreshed it, and then I was doing something else, and then Dolphin messaged me. She's like, the she was like all excited.
So they
There's
all
like a
dropped.
ton of documents. Yeah. So
Yeah,
yep.
the ones we were talking about earlier, we
Mhm.
knew that there was about to be a drop, but
It's not a rumor. It's actually in the court documents that he
mm,
purchased this balaclava. So for
well,
any
we're gonna
doubters
get.
out there,
Well, there's going to be the
there's
doubters. There's
always going to
going
be
to be
doubters. I
there.
know.
It was cold weather. He was moving to a cold climate.
Or he
Firefly.
was in a cold climate. Yeah, but still.
True. He was
Alrighty, I'm back.
preparing for the winter. Who the hell knows what they'll come up with? So
Yeah.
yeah, we were just discussing the fact that these documents have just dropped. You guys have been able to go through a little bit of stuff there. I have not yet. I did run in and grab something real quick for the thumbnail purposes. So that's about all I know right now. But
Okay.
we'll give it a minute and let everybody see if anybody. I don't know. We
Oh
weren't
yeah.
out there long to get notifications out and things of that nature, so I don't know who's going to trickle in um,
That
to
gives me
start
time to
going
take
over
some
these. Huh?
ibuprofen. That gives me time to take some ibuprofen that I apparently all of a sudden need.
Yeah, girl. I'm already. I'm right there with you. I got it right here. The
Hmm.
ibuprofen. I have a Coke, but I actually just got coffee made, so I am gonna go run grab a cup of coffee.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and we're gonna get into the docs in a few minutes, but we'll give some things a minute for people to come in.
Hmm.
Um, so were there a lot of the documents, or what are we talking here? Because I didn't even check to
Oh,
see
What
how
do you think?
many.
20? I don't know. I didn't count.
Oh
yeah,
wow.
yeah. There's
Okay.
a good like two
Let's see.
dozen
One, two.
or
Okay.
so.
Hi, real happy.
Yeah.
Welcome in. Welcome in. All right. Well, we'll go through the particulars and see what's how we want to
Hmm.
play this out in just a few minutes. But I know we want to get to that good stuff, right?
Oh
All
yeah.
right. All right. Well, I'm gonna go grab my coffee, guys. I'll be right back.
32.
Um.
32 new documents, if I'm counting correctly.
Oh
Real
wow. Oh
quick.
wow. Guys, I got Dolphin and Firefly up here with me tonight. We
Yeah, you're
decided to
right.
go live with this new stuff that dropped. So, again,
32.
32 total documents. Dolphin's saying you're a little bit low, Dolphin. Let me go in the back and turn
Me?
everybody
Yeah,
up.
y'all must have turned me from. Yeah.
Let me turn everybody up. Okay, got
How's
everybody now.
that now? Is that better?
Yep, better, better. It
Okay.
was on my end, not yours. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let me get the chat back up there. Whoops, that took the chat away. All right, guys, if you have any questions, these girls have reviewed a little bit of what's going on here for like about an hour or so. I'll be right back. If you have any questions, drop them in chat. Y'all, I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, we won't start without you. Hey, real happy. How are you? And Lynn, are you having a good day? Oh, and then we have some other people who aren't so chatty. So hopefully the people in the back seats are having a good afternoon too.
Yep.
Hmm.
So we only went through a few of the documents so far, and we found a bunch of new things, didn't you think? I mean, I'm not going to talk
Hmm.
about the details without
Yeah.
salty, but so far, at least three major things I think we came across. So,
Hmm. Mm. Oh, okay. Real happy says they haven't been on X today or Twitter at all
oh,
today. Yeah, these just came out because we were watching something else and just kind of like sitting back and talking. And I was like, "Oh, I've been working on trying to get these documents from the website into an Excel spreadsheet, and kind of like starting to keep track of them better and make notes and whatnot." And so I had the page open and I went to refresh, and I was like, "Oh my God, yeah." Tried not to scream in her ear because I saw like 32 documents.
Yep.
Mm, so I am just taking a few ibuprofen here.
Yep. I'm sure that's what she's gonna do too. Getting her
Hmm.
coffee. Get ready.
Coffee and goody powders, right?
Hmm. Well, at least this is a more, well, I'm not gonna say upbeat, but it's not as much of a downer as today's stream
Mm.
was. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, Stephen Stearns.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, we were listening to his jail calls. Him whining. It was day two of him whining, complaining about his conditions and what was it? His commissary, needing his
Oh
commissary
yeah.
account
He's struggling
replenished.
through life.
Hmm.
It's not very comfy there in
Books that
jail.
he wanted to, his parents to send him, and yeah,
Yeah.
I've got one more of these and then I'm good.
Why didn't she get her coffee before she started?
Hmm. Yeah, that just hit me out of nowhere.
Ooh.
Let's see. Oh, let me turn my phone sounds off. Hmm.
Any good images on this documents? Couple receipts?
Um, I haven't looked through images. Ooh, no, you know what? One that I was thinking of that might have something in it. I didn't open it yet.
Yeah, real happy. I know a lot of people, the way they interpret things, I'm not sure what they're thinking. If they just don't want to face reality or what's
Yeah.
going on here with this case anymore. But
And I mean, if
there's,
you really want to, you can find an excuse or an explanation for
mhm.
anything. But I don't know. When you start to look at a bigger picture and everything combined, it's like,
Yeah, there's just
yeah.
And
the
that
stuff is
evidence starts stacking up.
compiling. Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
stacking up. So,
Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited to get into these documents as well because it's because justice is coming for these kids, and I know they're young adults, and I don't mean to call them kids, but in my eyes, when you're in general speaking, you're going to say kids,
right.
so you guys know what I mean.
Oh,
But for
yeah.
the victims, let's call them the victims because that's what they are. Um, it's one step closer to true justice because it's looking more and more like he's your guy. You know, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of course, there's going to be questions. Like they can do what they want, but these documents should be very telling. And I'm so glad for the great unsealing. It's so exciting because it's like,
Oh, yeah.
finally, they can say we're what's being hidden. The truth has been hidden the whole time. Not and using their term, the word hidden. But anyway, let so let's pull up. Let me
Need a
pull.
pen and paper on this one to keep track of what they're going to be using at trial and what they're not going to be using because
Cool, because
clarify a lot.
I usually take notes, and the other day I literally like sat. I usually take Saturdays off, right? Whatever, but
Hmm.
I literally had a stack of notes, right, that I had
Hmm.
been neglecting, and I went through that whole darn stack and rearranged my notes and got my shit together. So now I need to make notes on this stuff right here because I even have written down some of the important documents, and things we may want to go back into particularly later and look into. And guys, we won't be here all night long going through all of them. We'll pick back up in the morning if need be with whatever we got here. Some of these may not be too terribly long, maybe standard stuff, right? Like is that like
Hmm.
but then again, some may be incredibly long because we have seen that. You
Hmm.
guys know we went 10 hours one day and 7 the next. I can't guarantee I'll be here that long tonight, but I'll be here for as long as I feel like it. You're cool. I'm lucky tonight, Pammy. My son's cooking dinner. He likes this. My kid, y'all, is a rice fanatic, like white rice. Okay, and so when he was little, because he was preemie and had little problems when he was little, but as he grew out of all that, he was still like a picky about stuff he ate. But for some reason, this kid just latched on to white rice. And one year, his grandma played a trick on him, and she buys this like 10-pound bag of white rice, and she puts it inside of a crock pot box, and she wraps it for Christmas. And when that child unwrapped it, he like was ecstatic to see this big giant bag of rice.
Hmm.
It was the funniest shit I've ever seen. I'm like, oh my god, over rice. Anyway, he's making one of his favorite rice and sausage and peppers dishes tonight, so I'm like, yeah, baby, you go. He can cook, I can sit here and eat, we're all good to go, guys. I got Dolphin and Firefly here. We can all take turns reading. My voice
Yeah,
is
let me close some of these documents because I've got
okay.
a
You're good.
ton of tabs open.
Oh shit, we don't like all the
Um,
tabs open. Um, my voice was starting to wear out a little earlier, and then I ended up on a long phone call with my cousin who I haven't talked to in a while. So I've been talking a lot today.
yeah, well, when I towards the end of the Stefan Stearns live that we did, I took that shower and I was listening to you guys and in the shower, so I'm a lot better.
Good.
Voice is steamed up and hydrated. I've got a bottle of water here, so let me know if you need me to
Good.
read
I
anything.
will. Welcome in, True Crime Addicted. So we have breaking. We have a document drop. Another large document drop in the Coburger
Yes.
case, with some interesting stuff in here. So we're going to get into it. Um, People will see that we're live if they're trolling the YouTube streets, and uh, come on in as they see us. You never know, and I'm always popping into YouTube to see who's if there's a good live going down or something that. And I don't listen to too many people though. Anyway, all right. So, oh, not YouTube. I pulled up the wrong thing. We're not looking at the YouTube right now. The docket, Idaho docket. All right. So you guys had the chance to look over these earlier. Let me get to the right spot. Where are we
Yeah.
going first? Where do you guys want to go?
I
You can go.
know. We jumped into Amazon, but I don't know that that was the best one. But
Should we go into?
Yeah.
I think the
Well,
one that you guys alerted me about.
uh-huh.
yeah.
It's a pretty good one.
Um,
Just my
yeah.
thumbnail.
But let me just before we start, let me just say this. So,
Okay, go
do you
ahead.
have the pull the cases of interest? You've got the doc list up?
Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm
Because
about to pull up.
I'm not looking at the actual screen.
Yeah, I'm about to pull up a document, whichever one we decide to go over first.
Okay.
So if
The
I pull
whole
the whole
list is what
screen,
I want
yeah.
to see.
Well, I can show that to you, but then I have to close it. For some reason, when I click on the particular document I want to read, it won't
Well, do
open
you
right
want me to
here.
share it then? I can share
There's
it.
the list.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So,
If you notice at the top, because these are newest to
whoops,
oldest,
excuse me.
right?
You want me to go up here?
hmm Up at
Okay.
the top, they're grouped. So you've got orders sealing things, right? Those are very
Hmm.
short, like 1, 2 pages. Okay.
Yeah.
You've got a notice for someone's appearance. You've got, oh,
Alan.
you're,
And that's
hmm
interesting. Who's Alan?
we found out it's somebody named
Okay.
Madison Allen. Then you've got
Oh, I'll have to look
s-
her up.
states,
Oh,
states
they.
responses,
I see what they've done.
lists of exhibits, right? States
Yeah.
asking for motions to seal. Then towards the bottom
All the
um,
defendant
is all
stuff.
the defendants' reply, right?
So they did change it up, huh? Like their order, because before it'd be just whatever came in as it was filed. And
Well, it
this,
still is.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
It's
it's
just
all
they just
together.
dumped it all to at the same time.
Yeah, and all the defendant stuff's together, all this stuff's together, and all the orders sealing are grouped together.
hmm
So, let's see, where did they start with the new stuff that we hadn't? Right here, right? Would be 319, the defendant's reply to state's response motion limiting one, the
No, we
inflammatory.
had the last few days, there have been like
Oh,
three
wait.
things for 324 or
Yep,
three or
you're
four
right.
things for
You're right.
324
Let
on
me go
there.
back up because we the
It's
touch, contact, DNA, and all that. Okay, there's all that. Yeah, where did this? So where do these actually start? That's what I need to know.
Can you change your zoom percentage? Because that's sort of, it's like bleeding together.
Well, it depends on how It's open through my Chrome thingy. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Is that any better? Is there a particular document? I mean, I'm looking to see where these actually started with the new drop. That's what I'm looking at right this second. I haven't
All
had a
of those
chance to
with
look at
red
all
are
these
new.
yet. Yeah, I know. All the ones with red that say new, but when I said that, yeah, I thought you said that though a couple of those had already been out to go up further.
No,
So
that's
it
not what I
starts
said.
here.
Scroll at the bottom. This list is newest to oldest.
Right.
At the very bottom of the list, of
It's the
the where
newest.
the red new ones are, what I
Mhm.
was saying was there were three or four that were dated 324.
Right.
So if you want to go oldest to newest, start at the bottom.
And yeah, and that's the one. That's what I'm at. That's what I'm saying. Right where it says new is where they started with the new filings. Those
I'm
aren't
looking at the
leftovers.
date. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And now I need to go back up here though. Because I close out of this, I just go click on the individual thing and bring it up. Let me do it that way, because then it's not blurry like that, or whatever's going on with that. Okay, so let me pull up. Let me go look at the names of these documents. Because like I said, I just got the alert these were out there. I only took a glance at one. So these go back on my screen as far back as 319 on this date, and the first one listed as new is defendant's reply to state's response to motion in limine 1.
Yep.
And that's the very first one, right?
That's the
No,
first one on
we're
my list too.
past 319.
What?
Didn't you just say 319?
That's what the Firefly and I are seeing the same thing. That's what I'm confused about. What are you seeing?
I don't see anything on your screen right now.
I
I
know I'm
see
not
us.
sharing the screen. I'm looking at the docket, and what I'm saying is the first thing it shows me as new is the oldest thing actually was that one. If I
Yeah,
go,
because there were those other 3 documents from 324,
yeah,
they were on there, so yeah.
yeah. Let me put because now it won't expand the
Motion and
damn
Lemony
dates.
1 are,
I think I got the whole thing like big. There we go. Now it's expanding the damn dates for me. Okay. So today's the 26th. When I'm trying to think, all these on the 24th are new.
Not all of them are new. There
That's what I'm
were
asking. Where
three.
does the list start? I was trying to take my time and look up the list because I just started glancing at it. And so
I
I asked
get
you
you.
guys
Here,
if
let
you
me just share
knew.
my screen really quick because
Yeah, I was just
I
asking
think
if
the
you guys knew
format.
which one it started with.
I do, and I'm
Um,
trying to explain it to you. Can you just put my screen up really quick?
yes, I just took mine
Because the
down.
formatting is weird
I'm
on
pulling it
yours.
right off the stream. Yeah, mine just came right off the website too, just like that. Let me make my screen bigger because I can hardly see that. Okay. Yeah, I got to make my computer screen. It looks the same. It doesn't look okay. So I just didn't know which document started the new set of documents, and then I can click on it and go from there.
Is this my screen on the?
Yeah, it
Okay.
is.
So all of these start at the very beginning, 326, and then it's got the red new. If you scroll down, it's going from 326 backwards to 324. All of these are documents that we have not seen. For the past several days, today's the 26th, past couple of days, this right here, these three that order, like right where I says order sealing exhibit S1 to state's response to defendant's seventh motion of compel, that document right there has been
Yeah,
on this site for 2 days.
okay,
So the
that's all.
newest document is
Yeah,
this one right above it.
right.
The defendant's
Inflammatory
reply to
evidence.
state's motion in limine number one. So you can go from that number one and then up.
Yeah, and that's what I
Yeah.
was trying to make sure is where the red started. Because sometimes, like the other day when I looked, it still showed new on a couple that I knew weren't new, right? That's why I was trying to make sure that it actually did start where it said new. So there we go. So the motion in limine 1, inflammatory evidence, is where they start, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you want
But
to
you don't
pull.
have to look at that if you don't want to. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I
did
don't
you
know
look at
what's
the
in it.
whole
I
list?
just,
Where do you want to go
yeah.
first?
Um, I don't know what's in that one. Like I said, I just sat down and opened up this whole thing and saw all these documents. I don't know what any of them say or don't say at this point.
So, okay, this grouping, all these that are defendant's motion for this, defendant's reply to states or whatever, for motion 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13. death penalty regarding autism spectrum disorder, motion to preclude death penalty regarding disclosure violations, defendant's motion in limine 6 regarding Nolan and touch and contact DNA. They're saying the same basic things that
Oh
that they've
yeah, and
said
we've already
before.
went over all these motions on the live,
I
and they're
mean,
just
these are new. They are new,
I
but it's
understand what they're
repeated
doing.
information,
It's
is what
they're
I'm
making
saying.
their argument is their response to the argument from the other side. That's all they are. They're you know what I'm saying? I know what the document. I know what you mean. That's what they're the state. The defendants replied to the state's response. That's all these things are, and they're just going to be saying, "Well, we don't care what you say. We're going to do our thing anyway." So yeah. So let's get to some good ones though. So what do y'all? So that we'd be skipping up to. Mm, which one do y'all think was the most important then to start with?
Um,
These are all the
I think
same.
the
Okay, so they're evident. All these
self
undisclosed.
authentication one, the self authentication one. I don't remember
So
where it is.
let me look at this list a minute. So they're arguing about the eyebrow issue, the 4OB evidence, the click stuff, and they're all just like the same thing. Just they're just arguments to whether for the judge to consider to keep these in or out. That's all there is, right? Nothing
Yep.
new in there that we could take away from. Okay. So the what about the strike the death penalty for autism? That's just going to be an argument preclude. Let's see. There's one on Riley Nolan about the touch or contact DNA, and they're arguing about the terminology being used. Was there anything on the proposed questionnaires? Were y'all able to see anything, or did you look at it yet?
I don't think we looked at those.
It's order sealing. Anything that says order sealing,
Well,
there's like 1 or 2 pages. Those are
yeah,
the proposed questionnaire. This is an
I know, but
order
I
to
still
seal
usually
it.
sometimes I still glance at them. I did. I like
I
I said.
did glance at it. It was 1 or 2 pages
Okay.
basically
So then
asking to
if
seal it.
y'all where do we should we start then? I'm gonna go up the list until I see something interesting and y'all obviously see
I'm
the
saying that the
let me get this big screen down out of my face and pull a screen up and let's get to the one that pertains to the damn thumbnail. How about
defendant's
that?
objection to motion in limine RE self authentication of records and reliance on
Okay. Well, I
IRE.
can't pull it up, so
Oh,
that's
you
not my
can't.
it's not my screen. It's Dolphins. Hello, welcome in everybody. Um, Donald, welcome in.
There, I stopped sharing. You can go ahead and do it.
I'll pull it up and then pull up that particular document that has that information in it so we can get started and look at any other ones that might be important. Let's see. Let me get it back up here. Okay, so that one's about the self authentication records, right?
Yep.
And it's going to be the state's reply to the defendant's objection to motion in limine of the self authentication records. Let me get that pulled up on here to share with you guys. Get that out of my way. All right. Okay, everybody can see that okay?
Yep.
Ooh, Becca. All right. Okay, here we go. Let's see what they got to say for themselves this time. Um, so the state's replying, like we said, to some of these motions that we've been reading, they're going back and forth about. So now the state's replying back to the defendant's objection to the motion in limine, and it concerns the authentication of the records and reliance on IRE 8036 and 8, 902, 411, and 80324. Comes now the state of Idaho by and through Latah County prosecuting attorney and respectfully replies to defendant's objection to state's motion in limine, RE, the self-authentication of records, filed on March 17th of 2025. The state seeks to rely on self-authenticating evidence as opposed to calling foundational witnesses in order to accomplish the same. That makes sense. It is understood that admission would be contingent upon the state laying a proper foundation with a certificate affidavit under the code. Yeah, there's got to be a protocol to, like we've discussed, to authenticate this stuff, right? There's always a
Yeah,
protocol.
I looked it up just to get an idea of the process of it.
Right. And because you know there is a process. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, they've used camera footage and so many damn things and body cams and all that. Okay, so it is also understood that the admission would be dependent on the state showing the relevance of the evidence, replying replying specifically to defendant's response. So the defendant's response is 1320 Linda Lane footage for the November 13th. That footage, so that's really basically saying what we've seen earlier, that they're wanting to authenticate, how the state's going to authenticate stuff or whatever with this particular footage. This one says the relevant footage, because remember they were saying they didn't know the relevance of certain pieces of evidence they got and what it was, how are you going to use this section or whatever. So this kind of talks about that, right? So the state would seek admission of this footage pursuant to IRE 8036. The relevant footage is taken on November 13th, 2022, approximately zero point 0.3 miles from the King Road home. The state may rely on video footage around 329 showing the suspect vehicle, the area in the suspect vehicle, the area of the crime scene prior to the homicides. That's in that video that I have on the pay on the channel. You can, that's the one that faces out toward Taylor, and you can see a car pass at 329, but it's going toward the home, and you see it again minutes, seconds later, really, on King Road, but you can't tell from that 1320 camera what kind of car that is from the leaked footage, right? Or even from what we have of it. Now, were they able to zoom in and see something different? I don't know, but they're using it in that capacity. And then at 1330, we found out that they're using two things from that location. The relevant footage is taken on November 13th, approximately zero point 0.3 miles from the King Road home, which is the crime scene. The state may rely on the video footage for approximately 3:30 a.m. to 4:07. Now we know at 4:07 he dips behind that building and he's not seen back there anymore after that because he parks. And at 3:30 is when he comes into the neighborhood there and starts making the loop-de-loops, showing the suspect vehicle traveling around the area of the crime scene prior to the homicides. The state is in the process of obtaining a certificate of authenticity. The Albertsons, they're relying on the business records for that store. Or shit, I read that backwards. Video surveillance and business records. This footage is maintained by Albertsons grocery store in Clarkston. The state would seek admission of this footage. The relevant footage is taken on November 13th. The state may rely on footage from approximately 12:46 p.m. to 1:06 p.m. Shows the defendant's vehicle and actions hours after the homicides. The state is in the process of obtaining that authenticity for that. Remember, we knew that he was at the store around that time, right?
According to the PCA, yeah.
Yeah, we had all said that. Well, he wasn't in there terribly long, but long enough to be seen, and I think they knew what he bought and everything, right? Um, and they see him getting out of his car, and that's a daytime image. So it's like there's the white Elantra, there's this guy getting out of it. I don't know if that's the gist of that or not.
I think it connects his phone pings, there's video
Showing the
image of
relevance.
him and
It
his
can,
car.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we said that earlier on. Remember, like what certain things seem to be in there to corroborate
Mm-hmm.
the phone. This data's accurate because look, here he is here, and yet the phone's pinging here. Even when he was in Clarkston the next day, it was like showing this is right and accurate because look,
Right.
here's the car and here's the phone ping. So how can it be right this minute, but not this morning, hours earlier, right? Um, and it says again right there that the relative footage is again 12:46 to 1:06, and it shows the defendant's vehicle and his actions. The Amazon financials are mentioned here with Brian's name on them. Um, this is regarding his purchase history. They're going to get the authenticity for that. And this one is the details of Brian's subscription information and order history from January 5th to December 13th. So they pretty much went that whole year, right, of 2022 to see what he was purchasing from the beginning of January all the way to mid December. At trial, the state intends to offer the certificate with the attached records as an exhibit. Defendant was provided this information on May 18th of 2023. Huh.
That's right after the grand jury.
2 years ago,
Yep.
and Anne's gonna stand there and tell everybody she's not getting anything.
Right after he was indicted. Yep.
So she's had it for about 2 years. All right. Look, all
Mm,
this is provided back in 2023 as well. All
interesting.
right. Regarding the click history, the state's attaching the certificate. They attached a certificate of authenticity here and pursuant to their code from Amazon.com. And they got the exhibit number entered there. The references, this references CRIM 12591322023DS, which is related to the Excel data file by the same name that details subscription information, click activity, and sign-in history of the defendant as directed in the underlying search warrant. At trial, the state intends to offer the certificate with the attached records. Okay. State incorporates the state's response to their motion in limine number 9. Okay. So,
Oh, I love how they say defendant was provided this information July 12th, 2023.
right?
So they're making sure to tell when they
Exactly.
were given discovery. Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Because we kept hearing over and over how they're hiding things. They won't, all these motions for discovery, all these motions for discovery. It's like every time she found out one other little thing, she like, there's got to be more. Like, give me more. What if there isn't? What if you're just asking for the same stuff over and over that's not there? You already got most of it. You know what I mean? I don't know. But obviously, she was getting things right, even way back then. The state incorporates their response to the motion in limine number 9 as part of their thing there. Okay, AT&T phone records for Brian Koberger, Maddie, and Xana. I'm sorry. Those are also provided in April 2023. The above records are relied upon the state's expert witness, Nicholas Balance, as detailed in his expert disclosures. A certificate of authenticity is attached as Exhibit S3, which was included with return for Brian Koberger's AT&T records from November 12th through the 14th. This was provided to that was AT&T 1, right? Warrant 1,
Hmm.
that limited search. The certificate of authenticity is attached as S4, which was included with return for Brian Koberger's AT&T records for June 23 of 2022 up to December of 2023, 2022. So that would be the time frame he was in, just gotten over to Pullman, moved in
Hmm.
over there. Yeah, because he came in June, left in December. The defendant received that back in April of 2023. Call detail records were provided for Maddie and Xana. Um, they were discovered on May 16th and on August 16th, and the state intends to use certificate of authenticity from AT&T to corroborate that stuff. The bagel shop was from was turned over to them on, or was provided to them on in April of 23. Oh, they got a big dump in April of 2023, didn't they, from the
Hmm.
state? State's like, here you go. Um, this footage is maintained by the business. Of course, they're just going to use that business's thing to authenticate everything. And then, okay, so the relevant footage. So remember, she kept saying they're not being very relevant and specific. The relevant footage is taken on November 13th from approximately 1:40 a.m. to 2 a.m. The evidence provides a timeline of events for Kaylee and Maddie before the homicides and corroborates state witnesses' testimony. Um, and that's the bagel shop is where the girls walk past on Main Street
Hmm.
headed over to the grub truck, right? It's got timestamp and everything, 1:40 to 2 a.m. So Bank of America bank records for Bethany and for Xana, they were provided those files back in April 2023 as well. Welcome in, Texas Ranger. Hey everyone, what is this? Is that these are new documents that dropped a little earlier in the Brian Koberger case, and we're just getting into them. Like, just getting into them. So welcome in. Anybody else I may have not seen pop in, welcome in. Appreciate you being here. Um, oops, I don't know what that is. Okay, let me get my screen back where I can see and read it. I moved it by accident. Okay, here we go. Um, so this Bank of America bank records for Bethany and Xana, it says the state no longer intends to rely on this evidence If the
Hmm.
state does, it will lay the proper foundation. So what does that tell us? There's nothing relevant in those banking information records that would pertain to the case.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. No crazy transactions, suspicious activities, none of that. Banner Bank banking records for Ethan, provided back in April of 23 as well. They are no longer intending to rely on that as evidence as well. So all those mysterious bank accounts, even I was suspicious of how many bank accounts these kids had. A lot of them were irrelevant, right? They just is going to, when you're investigating, you need to look into what the possibilities could have been. Of course, you're going to look into what was going on with their finances. That's kind of common practice in an investigation. So I guess when they started looking, they all had a bunch of different accounts, and you know nothing relevance there, nothing relevance there. The state no longer intends to rely on that evidence, and does the state does it will lay a proper foundation at trial. Cafe Arista, they talk about when they handed that over, which was, that surveillance was from November 13th as well, and that was handed over in April. And that's also going to capture the girls, Kaylee and Maddie. Corner Club, same thing, taken on the 12th through the 13th, so before midnight and after. That's also going to show Kaylee and Maddie's movements. It says here that they're looking at a time block of 10:20 p.m. up to 1:37 a.m. And that evidence provides a timeline of events for Kaylee and Maddie before the homicides occurred. So that tells us they left that corner club around the 1:30ish mark, right? And headed down the street. Corner club financial transaction receipts. They're gonna Those documents, just the relevant portion is attached to the state's exhibit. This evidence is a timeline of events for the girls. Costco surveillance video for the 13th was provided over in April of 23 as well. This footage is maintained by a business, and they're going to use them, of course, to authenticate their stuff. Um, the state may rely on video footage from approximately 11:59 a.m. to show defendant's vehicle and actions after the homicides. A certificate of authenticity will be attached. So that's a good daytime shot right at noon. Good image of the car. How well is this image of him? And this is where he was trying to get in the side door, right? And he wasn't allowed in.
Yep.
Wasn't at the Costco.
Yes, it
Um,
was.
and he ended up leaving. And what were we? We kind of ended up saying maybe he didn't have a card after all to get in, right?
I'm thinking, yeah.
I mean, well, why would you go to the side door to try to make entry and get turned down, and then not go ahead and just go to the front door? So it made sense when you brought that up. Maybe did he have a card to get in there? I
Well,
didn't think
sometimes they let you go in without
visitor thing.
yeah, as just a visitor, just to see if you'll like it. So maybe he thought, I don't know what he was thinking. Who knows?
Who could, right? Who knows with this guy? Uh,
Mm,
so that shows him at around 11:59 a.m. and it shows his vehicle as well. DeSales student records. Um, these documents are maintained by a private university. The state would seek admission of this document pursuant to the state and Idaho code there. The state has attached the relevant evidence which would be introduced to show defendants' knowledge of crime scenes. Huh. Isn't that so interesting? We've talked about that for what, 2 years? And people wanted to act like he didn't know nothing about crime scenes. It's like we all call him smart and say he went to school for all these things, but he shouldn't know about all that. What the hell? The state is in the process of obtaining a certificate of authenticity for that. So they're going to use his DeSales education to show how he had knowledge of crime scenes, which would what tell us he may know how to hide certain things, how to go about certain things to cover his tracks,
yeah.
right? So this one's going to be a good one coming up, right, guys?
Yep.
All
Oh
right,
yeah.
all right, guys, pay attention. Take everything's a grain of salt. Obviously, it's a filing, but they're saying it. They're saying it right here. What does it mean? So number 15. No,
14.
14. I went up too far. I went up too much. Okay. So the Dick's Sporting Goods, where we'd been talking about that Dick's Sporting Goods. And when we looked it up, we told you guys it come up, what was it, Dolphin Big Five or Five? They changed the name of it in
Mhm.
Moscow, right? So this was apparently in Pennsylvania, though, right?
Yeah, had to be, given the date, right?
Oh, I guess I hadn't read it yet. You guys had, so I'll
Oh,
read.
okay.
I'll read it. You guys read this part. I just like went and got a screenshot earlier for the thumbnail, but I
Mhm.
haven't actually read it. So Dick's Sporting Goods records for sale of sale for Brian Koberger. These documents are maintained by a business. The state would seek admission of the documents pursuant to Idaho Code 8036. The relevance of this information is that Brian Koberger purchased a black balaclava from Dick's Sporting Goods on January 10th, 2022. Now that's early in the year of 2022. This mask is the same type of mask described by DM that she witnessed worn by the male in the residence on November 13th, almost a year later, give or take a few months. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that that's what I mean, honestly, because they're going to try to say, well, he just bought it because it's cold.
To
But
me, it shows premeditation, because
doesn't it let me align it with everything else?
yeah,
And if you consider what the witness claims what he was wearing, um, let me get my, let me make this smaller. Let me check on chat for a second. I can't see very well the whole thing. I made it too small. Oops. Okay. All right. Well, he did keep something. Okay. Maybe he needed new tires, right? Oh, good Lord. Yeah, I'd need to figure out if he's got new tires on that car or not. Um, there we go. We love Dolphin's voice. Yes. Um, hearing the night have 10 months before crime. Yeah. Hearing they might have 10 months before crime by the mask. Yeah. And the knife. He got that. So you got that in March, right?
yeah.
So you were already in the planning stages of something. It makes me wonder how early or how soon he chose a victim. When, where, how, and why. And that
Or what
interesting.
other things was he planning, and how long?
Well, he was planning something, right? Maybe he just
Hmm.
didn't know what the target or who the target would be yet. Because this is not just an overnight plan. Or, oh, I moved here in July or, June, and I think I'm going to do this. This has been a long time, couple year thing in my head, right? I'm doing all this stuff in school and learning all this unique stuff and thinking
Yeah.
about it, thinking about it, thinking about it.
Oh, hi, Joe. Joe's in chat, and he said, "Doesn't the 22 purchase make you wonder about potential prior bad acts?" Absolutely,
Yeah,
100%. Because he bought the
Dana
K bar
Smithers.
in March. Wait, or was it April? The K
Shit.
bar
March.
March, and then the balaclava January, and then that other lady went missing. Forgive me, I keep forgetting her name.
Dana. Dana Smithers.
Dana Smithers. I mean, it's got to. I'm still looking at that. You know what I mean?
Or would you have some practice runs and you start out small? You know what I mean? Because you like the rest. I mean, I hate that's a bad term to use because there were so many
Well, I
people
know.
in
I know what
Idaho
you mean.
home, but like attacking one person, one individual. You know what I mean? Um, I don't know, but it just showed that he was absolutely probably thinking of something. Too many things are odd. Now you got the purchase of the K bar, searches for a new one after the fact. You are purchasing this thing that the witness described seeing you in, um,
Mhm.
and all this before you ever made it to Washington. And he wasn't there long when he honed in on these girls, or at least one of them. And he had to know they all lived in that house together, especially if you're surveilling, not stalking, surveilling. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And then you got this stuff coming out. What else are we going to continue to learn? Um, I don't think it looks good to buy that. I mean, I get it if you live in a cold climate, but it's, boy, it's pretty telling, I think, to a lot of us. Um, Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Pammy, Nikki, Bobby, Texas Ranger, Joe Schmo, Jeff H, everybody. Yep, I just got off a phone call, and the girls alerted me that some docks had dropped, and here we are. Bullets and bling. Thank you for coming in. All right. Ow. I'm going to need a cup of coffee to refill. So let me get my stuff bigger so I can see. Okay. So he purchased it, and they got him, let's see. It's got to be just a sale of record, though, right? Because it doesn't have the video. It's got the AV270. Um, and it doesn't give like a timestamp. So I'm assuming they got like the purchase of record, the record of purchase, probably through his bank account activity as well. And they probably got the receipt. Discover financial records for Kaylee. They no longer intend to use those either. Um, Irrelevant. The DoorDash for Xana and Ethan.
There we
These
go.
doc-
Here's another big thing.
okay.
Keep
Oh lordy,
reading.
we
Keep
got some
reading.
DoorDash activity still. They can't. Oh god,
No, we got a time. We got a time.
we get a. I see that. Okay. Okay. DoorDash records for Xana and Ethan. These documents are maintained by a business. The state would seek admission of the documents pursuant to Idaho, Idaho Code 8036. The state may rely on the attached records um, from DoorDash regarding a delivery to 1122 King Road on November 13th at 3:59 a.m.
3:59. Yep. Yep.
That's when that confirm drop off button was pushed.
Yep. Because we've all been wondering around 4 o'clock. What does that mean? 4:15?
It
Is it
said
4
around
exactly?
4 a.m.
There
Yeah.
we go. We got a time.
So
So that might explain some things. So that means DoorDash was probably, how long does it take to drop off the DoorDash and make your photo and whatever else you got to do
it's
since
up
you
to
were a
you.
driver?
It's totally up to you. Are you a slowpoke, right? You get out of your car, you get the food out, you walk up there, you set it down, you snap a photo real quick with your phone. The app's already open. Just snap the photo, and you turn around, you click send, confirm, drop off, and the app sends that photo to the customer and
So
lets them.
where is suspect vehicle 1 at 3:59?
I'd have to go back to the video and look at the timeline. Look, hang
Because
on.
one sighting is 3:56, and then another one I think is 4:07.
Did
So
it? Oh well, there's several times they ended up
yeah.
finally mentioning on the
Mhm.
actual, because at first we knew a couple of times like the 407 and things like that. Where is my other? Oh, I got a whole folder with the list in it with all the cars. I'm trying to make sure trying to keep up with all the time. Excuse me, the times that car was actually seen, when and where,
Mhm.
for that purpose. Because I know it entered the area about 3:28, or was it 3:29? You know what I mean? So there's
3:29 was the
yeah,
first one.
yeah. So did he pass? I'm trying to, because there was 4 passes by the 1122 camera, and the 4th one was at 404. So 3 prior occurred before the 404 mark, right? And
Yep. Mhm.
damn, what did I see? Look, it did me a lot of good to put all my notes in one spot, because now I act like I can't find them, and I know they're right here because I didn't have.
Well, whenever I'm under pressure, I can never find anything.
No, I mean it's like it's got to be. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Da, 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 da. Okay. Um, yeah, I'm trying to remember the exact time that the first time they claimed that it came in on.
So when he was leaving after the 3:56 circle, or so was DoorDash coming in to the area? They had to pass each other.
The DoorDash was going to leave that area. Okay, if it dropped it off at 3:59, you turn around, walk back to your car, give yourself, how many seconds are in that 59? I don't know. So 4 a.m., you're back in your car, however long it takes that driver to back out and pull away. So if he could actually leave that little intersection before 404. So before the fourth pass, they might have just missed one another, right?
Okay, Jeff has the exact times. He said he passes the 1330 Linda Lane camera at exactly 3:56. So that's like 3:57. So
That's in that.
he had to so the DoorDash had to be there before 3:59 if that's when he actually dropped it off and took the
Yeah, that's your
photo.
confirmed drop off time. And
Right,
Jeff,
so he was
that,
there.
so Jeff, did that came off that picture they released too of the timestamp of that
Mhm,
Linda Lane, or not Linda Lane, but 112 footage? You're right, because it's got the timestamp of what time that car came through there, the white, the light colored sedan.
mhm,
The DoorDash probably would have arrived, say Firefly, like, pulling through the neighborhood to come in there and park
mhm.
and get out. Because so give yourself a few minutes to do all that. So what, 3:55?
Something like that. So they
Maybe.
had to be in the same on the street at the same time.
And we've always wondered, did the DoorDash car see the other car?
Mhm.
Did they pass one another? Could he identify anything at all about the car? Light colored car, white car, one person in it versus, 15, whatever.
Or what if he has a dash cam? That would be awesome because then you could, because it would
Yeah.
be hard to remember. You know what I mean? I wouldn't remember what car I passed at three
Sometimes
in
I,
the morning.
oh, I might at 3 in the mornings. I'm way
Well,
more alert.
that's true.
But I wouldn't be out dashing at 3 in the morning. But I'm weird. I try to tell myself, remember that just in case. You know what I mean? Um, so I'm kind of a little observant, but not everybody is. Would he have noticed? You're just passing a car, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So is he going to just barely remember it was a white car or a light car, but I can't tell you what kind of car, you know? So he may not be that good of a witness other than setting a timestamp, a timeline. So there you go. She got it delivery confirmed drop off at 3:59, which means Xana wouldn't have opened that door to get that order until at least 3:59, 4 a.m.
Yep.
Give her time to get up, get down to the stairs and get it.
I
And you
don't
can
think he
also see
saw
on your
him.
app, ma'am, go ahead.
I said, I don't think he saw him. I'm looking at the document about the make and model, that first
Mhm,
graphic with all the colored boxes and the times. There is a, I know Jeff mentioned the 356, but there's a
mhm.
358 at the 1112 King Road. Then
Mm,
the next time in all of these boxes is 401 out at the Ridge Road. So maybe the 358 was he was leaving the area and
right?
went by 1112 because he's over at Ridge Road at 401.
Yeah, remember the screenshot that they have out that they released in the documents that show the car coming in to the area, and it's a screenshot from the 1112. It was in the one of the recent documents. There's a timestamp on that. Let me look for it real quick. Let me see if I have it bookmarked.
Yeah, Joe, it was ordered from Jack in the Box.
What, the
Because back at that
DoorDash?
time it was open until 4 or whatever. He said he's ordered DoorDash at 3 a.m. About your only option is Taco Bell in some cities, but you never know in a college town. Do we even know
Oh
what
yeah, we
restaurant it was ordered from?
yeah, and Santa's friends will tell you that girl was always ordering DoorDash. That it didn't matter what time of day or night that as Anna wanted DoorDash, she was getting it. I don't know exactly where I got that picture right now with that timestamp on it, but we'll look again. But so we at least now know what time it was confirmed drop off and about what time that driver was pulling into the area and leaving the area. You know, some people move faster than others, so it's hard to calculate exactly what time the guy pulled into that neighborhood and exactly what time he pulled away. Um, so there's the early warning records again. The state no longer intends to rely on those as evidence. Hmm, maybe nothing in them after all, or whatever that was. The Elon Financial is the same thing. They're not going to use that. ENS Services. This was that surveillance on the 13th. We have seen where that we looked at that on the map. This footage is maintained by a business, and they're going to seek admission of that document pursuant to the code. The state may rely on video footage from November 13th at around 5:26 a.m. We remember when we looked on the map and saw where that was and knew he was around that time. That's going to show him going back into Pullman after the fact. Um, that was at Johnson Road, and what was that other crossroads? Shit. Um, so you got farmers insurance is video from the 13th. The state no longer intends to rely on that evidence either. Floyd's cannabis shop. This footage is maintained by a business, and that's how they're going to authenticate that. Um, so look at there at 3:02. We finally got a time at what time he's seen at the Floyd's, but damn, it was dark and Floyd sits off the road. I'm not sure I like that.
Oh, what time did it say? 3:02?
That's 3:02 a.m. I just yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the footage at Floyd's, the state's going to seek to admit, and they're going to authenticate the
I
record.
mean, time makes sense. The time
Oh
lines
yeah,
up.
yeah. If you know where the if you know right, if you know where this
Mhm.
is at along that highway, yes, ma'am. The state may rely on video footage from November 13th. I love me some Floyd's cannabis shop. They just won't let me up in the damn parking lot. I just can't get in the parking lot.
Yep.
Anyway, 3:02 a.m. is what they're relying on there, and it shows the white sedan on State Route 270 between Pullman and Moscow, approximately 1 hour before the homicides. And that would show him headed toward Moscow from Pullman. The Forest DAX, the crypto.com stuff. These records are maintained by the business, and they're going to, seek to admit those under the proper things. The state provided information related to the relevancy of this item in its expert disclosure for FOA Michael Douglas. FOA Douglas is a factual witness regarding this account. State is in the process of obtaining the certificate of authenticity. I'd sure like to know what that crypto account's going to show.
Yeah, Dolphin and I were discussing this before when we were just looking at it, and she was saying, for all we know, it could be the purchases before the homicides, like in January. Wait, maybe in January he bought that balaclava. Maybe he bought the knife with, I don't know, crypto. I don't know.
Well, it depends on if the place you're purchasing from accepts your crypto. Otherwise, you got to trade your crypto in for US dollar, right?
Okay, I don't know
And
that much about crypto,
yeah,
so
there's a
yeah.
process behind it. And
Hmm.
yeah, but a lot of folks do it. They can have a whole hell of a lot of crypto, but and then if they they can transfer that to U.S. funds. Um, you can, and vice versa. Um,
Hmm.
so there's a
You
lot of
can have
different
a
things, but
crypto visa too.
yeah, exactly. So
Hmm.
there are some ways to use crypto as payment. Um, a lot of different companies now do it, and there's different apps and things, but there's a lot of DAOs involved and mining involved. There's a whole lot involved. But so some companies do it, um, but not a lot of average companies don't just you can't just walk in and make a payment with crypto. You know what I mean? Like Dolphin said, there's a card involved with that one. So I don't know who all actually takes crypto anymore right now. There's always big debates about that shit going on. Um,
Yeah, he could have
okay,
ordered something online though too.
yeah, there's ways to do it. Especially now as compared to even 3 years ago, there was just you had to pretty much um, trade your crypto over
Yeah, in the US,
unless.
there's, I think, what was it, worldwide, 15,000
Hmm.
merchants accept cryptocurrency as
Yeah,
payment. And in the
Wow.
US alone, about
there
2,300.
you go.
And a lot of these businesses that they thought he was doing business with or the girls were doing business with do accept cryptocurrency.
And for their people there, it wouldn't be that's not a surprise to me for
Hmm.
their age brackets, right? It's really not. Uh, it's kind of pretty common, and then that's why a lot of the regulations shit's coming out because they want to try to make sure that people aren't playing hanky panky with the crypto, um, and getting away with stuff. All right,
Um, Also
go
on the
ahead.
list of merchants, there were a lot of VPN providers on the list too. So I was thinking maybe he used his crypto currency
Ah, right.
to hide his VPN.
Oh, that's a good thought there. Because
Hmm.
they're going to bring up how good he was at knowing crime scenes and different tech things he would
Oh,
be.
that's another document.
Yeah.
Bringing
Oh,
that up. Dolphin
okay.
knows
I'm
what document that
definitely
is.
gonna go get up me go
You
get
can
go.
do that next after this one if you
I'm
want.
definitely
Whatever.
gonna go and have to get a fresh cup of coffee because I've already sucked this one down. All right, grub truck video. Um, so the relevance of this footage is taken on the 13th from approximately 1:43 to 1:53. This evidence provides a timeline for Kaylee and Maddie, which we all knew that. harbor freight business, and surveillance records. The state no longer intends to rely on that evidence. Man, the harbor freight purchases were no good.
Yeah, I guess not.
No shovel? God dang it. Damn it,
He
man.
already had one in his trunk.
No, you're
Probably.
true. It's true that. It was snowing and stuff. Yeah. No need to purchase something I already had. Tuck it out of daddy's garage when I left and went out there. Shit. That speculation, people. Um, Idaho Central Credit Union bank records for Maddie Mogan. The state no longer intends to use those. Indian Mountain Lake surveillance records. The state no longer intends to use that either. Joanne's Fabrics. There's no need to rely on that. So we didn't purchase anything crazy in there. It was just a regular shopping day for one of the girls probably. Latah County Sheriff's Office Deputy Darren Duke body cam. This is the August 21st stop that we've talked about. Um, the state's in the process of obtaining a certificate of authenticity for that. It's a public record. This is a public record pursuant to the Idaho Code, which, yeah, exactly what we said. Marshall's financial records for Brian Koberger, they're no longer intend to rely on those. Oh, no abnormal shower curtain purchases, or were there? State's like, oh, we don't want to use that. It does show he bought a lot of shower curtains. Shit. Or they could work out in their favor. You never know. I'm just
And they're not going to use those police reports or victimology questionnaires.
that doesn't surprise me on the victimology questionnaires, but what police reports are we not using and why?
The ones that they
National
mentioned
Weather,
in that section before.
huh?
The ones that they mentioned in that section before. That section said something about handwritten notes, police reports, victimology questionnaires. It's like a bunch of stuff. Like something had
What?
happened in Marshall's
Oh yeah, yeah.
that was
We were
related to
talking
him.
about that, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just because I was just reading the state no longer intends to rely on the marshal's records, the weather service stuff. Um, this is a public record, and they're going to authenticate that as well. And they provided that over to the defense in 2025 and corresponding records. Well, y'all should have all known that a long time ago, especially when Ann got the alibi. She'd been like, she should have went right to the weather app. Been like, wait a minute, what was up that night? You know she did. Numerica bank records for Kaylee. What was that noise? It just freaked me out. I did too. It's like a. So the state no longer intends to rely on this evidence. The state does. It will lay on the proper foundation. So they don't intend to use Kaylee's records for that. Okay, so making sure we didn't lose somebody. We did. There we go. That's what I heard. Dolphin, you back, Dolphin?
Oh yeah, I heard you the whole time.
No, look, backstage you had fallen off. It looked like your thing was on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I heard it
Mm-hmm.
go. She and I both heard it at the same time, and I had to check, and I saw you were gone, so I had to click you back in. Okay. Um. Okay. So then we go into like I said, they're not using Kaylee's bank records there. PayPal, Venmo, financial records. They're maintained by a business, and the state would seek admission of these particular records. Um, so didn't it say one of the other documents who those records were on, the PayPal, Venmo stuff? There's three. There's
Mm-hmm.
three different files. Yeah. So they're going to
Mm-hmm.
introduce whatever that is, and that's a payment record of something. Is that all Koberger stuff? I can't remember. Um,
If I recall correctly, I think it might have been like a combination of the girls, two of the girls, and
okay.
then I think what is it? Does it say like they have like three files
Yes,
and
ma'am.
somebody's records were included?
Oh,
Like I
yeah.
want to say the records from 215 were mixed in
That's
with the
right.
260 or whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is AV 215, 260, and 793. So it's three separate files there, and they're going to introduce those. Okay, so the PNC bank records of Brian Koberger, they're going to seek to admit those as well, and they're going to self authenticate those. Um, and they don't really give us a reason as to why, but they provided that over to the defendant in 2024 as well. The Pentella data, they're no longer intending to use that. Weren't we saying that was the cable company over there in Pennsylvania or something?
Yeah, internet provider.
internet
Their
provider.
parents. Hmm.
Okay. Pennsylvania State Employees Credit Union owned Brian Koberger. The state does intend us to use that. Um, the state has provided specifics regarding the relevance of this information in the state's expert disclosure for FOA Michael Douglas with the attached expert report. The state is in the process of obtaining the authentication for that. Um, State employee record or Pennsylvania State Employee Credit Union records for Brian. Okay, so Kaylee's Petco, they no longer intend to use that. The Rite Aid, they're no longer going to use that. The Ross Financial will not be used. The Sunset Mart surveillance video, which we looked at on the map, guys, it's right there on Main Street. And it's maintained by a business. They're going to use that. The relevance of this footage, it was taken November 13th, approximately zero point 0.5 miles from the King Road home. The state may rely on video footage from around 8:28 a.m. Now there you go, Dolphin. That's one of the time, guys. That's one of the times right there that it first entered the area.
Yep.
And then the other thing was what we were looking at 359 on the DoorDash delivery was 359. Showing the suspect vehicle the area of the crime scene prior to the homicides. The state's in the process of obtaining this certification. Um, this is the Sunset Mart over in Pullman, and it was from the 13th as well. This footage is maintained by the business. What they were planned to rely on video footage from the 13th at approximately 5:20 a.m. to 5:26, approximately about a minute there, showing the suspect vehicle in Pullman. And again, that would be after the crimes, after the phone comes back on finally, making his way back into Pullman. So they're going to rely on that. Also here, a certificate of authenticity is attached as Exhibit S13, which was obtained prior to the grand jury. This was provided to the defendant with grand jury materials. So they relied on some of this footage, of him coming and going to show the grand jury. That was absolutely shown to the grand jury. Target financials are no longer need to use those. The TikTok for Xana. The record will show what? The record will show Xana on TikTok app at approximately 3:16.
Pacific time. Are they in Pacific time or are they Mountain time
Yeah,
now?
yeah,
Yeah.
they are.
3:16. What? I thought it said
Yeah,
4:12 before.
Well, it does. The
it does. I
PCA
think maybe she got on
opened up
Started
the
TikTok at,
3:16.
yeah,
yeah, opened the
3:16.
Okay.
app. So this is some things I've been wanting to know in my mind. So she apparently opened the TikTok app at 3:16. An hour later, which is not unusual for a girl like her, sitting there, chilling out, waiting on some DoorDash and shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Chilled out on there for an hour because what 4:12 the PCA
Waiting for
meant.
her food to show up.
Yeah, so the PCA says that Xana was on TikTok at 4:12 a.m. But
Okay.
we now see that she accessed the app. It looks like at 3:16 a.m. Okay,
Okay.
so that establishes Xana was still alive. You know what I mean? At
Mhm.
3:16 a.m. to open the app, and we know she was at 4 a.m. to receive her DoorDash. Um,
You're right. That does narrow the timeline down because there
mhm.
are people saying that they didn't believe the timeline
So
is 4 to 4:20.
yeah, at like
You know.
3:16 a.m. she's opening TikTok, and you got
Mhm.
this car entering the neighborhood at 3:28, waiting to pounce. Right? Like that's so
Waiting
crazy.
for the lights to go out or something, you know.
Yeah,
And
ex-
I'm with you guys now. I don't think he saw the DoorDash car because if he did, he would know that somebody was still stirring. I think he probably waited for
right.
the
Would
lights
have
to go
alerted
down.
him. Well,
Yeah.
right, you would make you think somebody's in that house still awake. I can't just
Mhm.
go in there yet. They're not going to be
Yeah.
asleep in 10 minutes. They're eating.
Right.
Damn it.
You need the element of surprise while they're asleep or
Right.
almost asleep, you know.
If they did pass each other, it could have been out on Taylor Avenue, and they neither one would have
Right.
thought much about it.
Yeah.
Right? It
Mhm.
wasn't right there on King or Queen, right there by the house. That probably would have startled him enough to make his whole plan throw off or back it up. You know what I mean? Um, unless you're just that stupid. Um, I don't think he actually saw that DoorDash driver coming and going from that home, but if anything, he passed him out on Taylor Avenue.
Hmm.
Very high probability of that. And which way did the DoorDash driver go when he left? Did he go left out toward Walenta, or right on Taylor? I don't know. It would all depend on if he was heading home for the night or if he had another call. I don't know. So TJX should be TJ Maxx, right? Or well, it is TJX for Dylan. They're no longer going to use that. T-Mobile phone records for Kaylee and Dylan. Those are maintained by business, so they're going to be able to authenticate those. This evidence provides a timeline of events for Kaylee and Dylan. Remember, so didn't so Dylan did try to call Kaylee, right? And was attempting to text her, but they never actually, that we know of, spoke.
Connect.
Right.
Yeah.
So show a timeline when Kaylee was not responding, but a timeline where Dylan was trying to get her to respond.
Hmm.
Okay. The defendant received that over in April. All right, Umka Bank, they're no longer going to use that. The Under Armour transaction records, they no longer intend to rely on that. Well, that's okay because we now know where he actually got that hat that, whatever that thing was called that Dolphin showed us yesterday.
Balaclava.
Balaclava. The balaclava. Guys, I'm not ignoring chat. Sorry, I've been reading. I'm about to go get me some coffee. I guess I could finish reading just to get on through this one. See if there's anything else interesting coming on up. All right, let's see. Good Lord. The
Hmm.
Ultimate Finance. Did I skip anything?
No.
Yes. No, the chef store, the Under Armour. Okay, chef store stuff. The U.S. Chef store over there in Clarkston is a surveillance video. They're going to use that. Um, let's see, they show what's relevant here. Yep, the state may rely on video footage from approximately 12:42 to 12:44 p.m. to show defendant's vehicle and actions hours after the homicide. Again, getting a good clear image of that daytime footage. The defendant does not have a 49 listed in his response. The state is keeping the same numbers as defendant's response for consistency. What the hell does that mean? What did I miss?
Hmm.
Defendant does not have a 49 listed in his response. The state is keeping the same numbers as defendant's response for consistency.
Oh, they skipped it, I guess, by accident, maybe.
Okay, 48, 49. Oh, they throwing shade right there.
A little bit. Well, no,
Mhm.
they just want, because Ulta is 50 on this defense, so they
Okay.
just want to be consistent. It kind of
Well,
makes
they
sense.
skipped 49. They're like 49 was blank, so we're gonna throw in a.
Yeah,
Okay, they're throwing shade. Oh,
sort of.
Ulta Financial records, the state no longer intends to rely on that evidence. The Verizon for Ethan and Bethany and JD, um, those records are, I'm sorry, I got focused on something for a second. Maintained by the company, of course, I'll use that. Excuse me. This is Jack Decor, I'm assuming. Specifically, the state would like to seek to show the phone records of Ethan Chapin, Bethany. Wait, that's not Bethany Funk. That's BJ. Who's BJ? Help me out.
BJ.
Am
Oh,
I losing my mind? Well, let me think for a second. Who's BJ?
BJ. I got to think too.
Uh,
Bethany Funk.
it says
Oh,
BJ.
BJ. Sorry. Oh, I
I'm
was looking
saying,
at BF.
yeah. So for Ethan, BJ, and JD, this evidence provides a timeline of events before the homicides and corroborates state witnesses' testimony. Maybe one of the frat brothers that knew of Ethan's whereabouts or something, or some kind of record that they were texting. I don't know, or a
I
call.
honestly can't think of any BJs, but
It's not his
gotta be
brother,
somebody in the frat, right? Don't you
right?
think?
Excuse me. It's not his brother.
Mm-mm.
It's not his best friend. But it
BJ.
doesn't really matter. Okay, so Walmart surveillance and the financial transaction records for Brian Koberger. The state no longer needs to rely on that evidence. So there goes our Dickie's theory that he bought that
Right.
Walmart. We can
Oh, that's a
confirm.
typo.
You think what's a typo?
Under Verizon, because it says ECBFJD.
Oh
Then in
yeah,
the second paragraph, they say
BF. Oh,
yeah,
ECBJ and JD.
so it
But
is
yeah,
then
BF.
at the
Okay.
bottom, they
That
say
makes sense.
ECBFJD.
yeah,
That's Bethany.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah, I
typo.
noticed that as I
Gotcha.
went down to the Walmart, I
Thanks for
looked up, I said,
clarifying
"Wait
that.
a minute," because
Because I was like, BJ, what?
Mhm.
well, they keep having typos in here, and as soon as I looked
Oh
up
my
on
god, so
Walmart, I
bad.
was like, yeah,
Well, they
they're
skipped 49. I mean, they skipped 49 altogether on the other one. So,
well, I'm used to their freaking typos. Half the time, I was like, whatever.
yep.
And then as I went to Walmart, I looked up and seen it. It's like, yeah, that is Bethany. Okay. So, but I'm so used to their stupid shit. Yeah, they need to get it right though. It's ridiculous. Walmart surveillance. So I guess he did not purchase the a Dickies suit from that Walmart. Remember, there was a Dickies receipt found at the apartment, right? Or a Walmart receipt. Did we ever confirm that was actually a Dickies? I think it was in the
It
search warrant return. I had to pull it
not
up.
exactly what it was. It was Dickies, and they found a Dickies label. So, but we don't know what it
Oh
was.
yeah, the Dickies tag label off the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
But they did find a Walmart receipt though, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So the Washington Department of Motor Vehicles, they're going to use that, of course, to show his car. Obviously, Washington Department Motor Vehicles, Brian Koberger. Again, they're showing how they're going to show that they're authentic, and that was provided back in April 2023 to the defense, um, and it was also used in the grand jury. Uh, it was Koberger's license record that they provided in July of 2023 to the grand jury. Washington Trust Bank, they're going to admit that or seek to admit that as well, and they're going to be able to authenticate those records. Um,
I have to say, everything that they are using, I'm loving the fact that they're saying this was provided to the defendant on yada yada,
well,
which date.
because
You
yeah,
know
the
what I
defense
mean?
come out and said that. Remember, we just read
They
all that.
want, yep,
They're,
they're wanting to get rid of the death penalty for.
well, no, no, the defense is complaining. You gave
Mhm.
me all this shit. And I don't know what none of it means.
Oh, okay.
Remember, we just read all that. There is unorganized. We don't know what you plan to use out of this
Gotcha. Oh,
video.
okay. So
They're
this
like,
is
okay, well, hold on. Let us lay it out for you. This is what we're using in that video. Now, don't come back and say we didn't give you video, and then you can cry. Well, we didn't discover this exculpatory evidence later
is
because you
that
got
from
it.
from the documents last week? Because I really haven't paid attention to those yet. I heard like bits and pieces of you all last week.
I've been reading them. We've been reading them all right here.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, okay, okay,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yes, yes, exactly.
I
That
kind of was out of it for a while.
no, she has complained that what she's getting on these surveillance footages and all these records that she's receiving, she doesn't know what
Are
the
just
state
thrown
intends to
together.
rely
Okay,
on. Yeah.
okay,
She said, I don't know what y'all intend to rely on. So the state's like, well, here, we'll tell you. Make
okay.
it easy for you, and I'll quit crying foul.
Hmm.
We're sick of it. It's been 2.5 years you calling us names, Ann Taylor. We're a little over you. The judge said we get to unseal, so here you go, baby. All right. So that's what they're doing. They're laying out what they plan to use since she wanted to get all crazy and act like she didn't know what they were going to use. And now they're telling her, we're not going to use this and we're going to use that. Wells Fargo, no longer needed. Winco Financials, no longer needed.
Hmm.
Winco Financial Records and Surveillance, no longer needed. Guess he may not have been surveilling after all, just got a damn ticket. Washington State University, surveillance video on the 13th, Public Institute, that's going to be easy to verify, as we said. This shows him on video from 5:28 to 5:30. Again, that's going back into the complex after the crimes over at WSU. And the parking records, the state would seek to admit those records as well. Um, the state may introduce these records to show Brian Koberger's Hyundai Elantra was registered with WSU System and had an active permit at WSU. The state is in the process of obtaining the records for said thing there. Oh, phone was ringing. Anyway, so that's the end of that. They're explaining what all they plan to use. They're pinpointing what they're going to use out of it, and we're going to be able to authenticate all of this. So that was that. And which let me
That's the end of that whole document.
yeah.
Awesome.
Went up. Is
Yeah.
it? Did I not? Hang on.
Look at the
I'm
page
sorry. My
numbers.
phone, I got right here and I did stop. My phone went off and it was on silent and I glanced over it and I just assumed I was done. So
Oh,
this was good. Is there any more? Is it got any good stuff in it? Let's see. This is an Amazon, an official communication from Amazon. This is Shane Cox from Amazon. We talked about him in the document as well. Um, and this is like his authentication for for those purposes. And he's an Amazon. He's an employee of Amazon. He makes this declaration is based on personal firsthand knowledge, and if called and sworn as a witness, I could and would testify and set forth below. Amazon produced documents responsive to the above referenced law enforcement request. All documents produced by Amazon are authentic, and they purport to be and accurately describe the transactions, communications, and events set forth therein. All documents produced by Amazon are business records, and that they are records kept in the ordinary course of business, created at or near the time of transactions or events reflected therein, or based on information from a person with knowledge of the transaction or events, and kept as a part of regular business activity. I declare under penalty of perjury under the laws of the United States of America that the foregoing is true and correct. Executed on 12/30/2022 at Seattle, Washington. Sunshine Cox, Amazon Corporation, Law Enforcement Response Specialist. What a title.
Hmm.
Law, and this is a notice. This communication might contain privileged or confidential information. Um, if you are not the intended recipient, don't look at it. And then this is same thing. Executed on 6/23. Let me go back up here and read the date on this for a second. This is 12/30. He's authenticating different records, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what, yeah. So that particular Amazon warrant return, he's doing that. And the same with this one. This one's dated 6/27/23. So that's a separate one. Um, and then here we have AT&T authenticating their records. And that's all these are going to be is all of the, let's see, what is this one? This is a search warrant. Brett Payne. So this is the Idaho. Let's see. I'm not going to read on the top part. Okay, Idaho is on the AT&T account associated. Wait a minute. Let me start up here. Brett Payne having given proof who he is, all that good stuff. Establishing ground for issuing a search warrant and probable cause to believe property consists of certain evidence regarding the investigation into the crime scene at 1122 King Road, Idaho, is on the AT&T account associated with the phone number 509-592-8458, which is Brian Koberger. Between November 12th at midnight until November 14th at midnight. Information, and that's going to be your first AT&T warrant again. So they're authenticating that stuff, call detail records and all that. So that's basically, I think, all's going to be in here, girls. Is that right? Did you guys skim through this whole 70-page thing? Is that what all this is? It's going to be authenticating records?
There's more stuff in here.
Okay, let me
You'll
scroll
want to
down
go through it
past.
page through page.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not going to go through all the authentication records like
Well,
that.
That's
there's like,
not all that's there.
I know I'm trying to get down to that point. That's what I'm just saying. I'm going to go past this stuff. Because let me go back up here, though. Okay, so there's some redacted bullshit. So this one is the same thing. I'm just going to make sure. So this is again the AT&T stuff on this one. It's got some of the redactions, but it looks like it's a. So this is the search warrant that authorizing installation and or the pin, trap, and trace that they used on Brian Koberger. Was there anything above this one? Did I miss? Because I think that was just the end of the authentication records right there. Okay, so this is a new thing. Let me check out the window there. Okay, so this is probable cause to believe there are records related to the crime at 1122 King in Moscow, Idaho, and currently under the control of AT&T for historic call detail records for the phone number of Brian Koberger, with cell sites for all voice, SMS, and data connections between June 23 to the present. And again, he got there in June. like the 22nd, I think it was. So the day after he got there, they wanted to go back and look at everything. Of course, they go through the list of everything they were going to be doing with that, including the GPS, such as cell site positioning information, GPS. We went through what the pin trap and trace can do. The timing advance, they want that. The true, all that's contained within all that. Um, the CSL data, all the stuff will all be in there. Um, this is all probable cause again. They give his address that was redacted at the time, and this again, this is about the geographical limits of the trap and trace order. Um, the above identified investigator or investigative agencies are authorized to install and use a pin trap, a pin register, and to register, filter, record, and decode electronic and other impulses, including but not limited to dialing, routing, addressing, signs, signal information, all the good stuff. Where does it talk about anything good? Okay, so it's like a search warrant return. I can read some shit on. I want to hear. I want to see the perimeters. Is what I'm looking for. Content information otherwise transmitted to the target address. Um, the original numbers or data. Let's see. Just looking for the good stuff. None of that right there. It's kind of like standard shit to me. Um, based upon probable cause, the above identified service number, investigators and investigative agencies are authorized to use a cell site simulator. We knew it, in connection with the target address, and that any cell site simulator device may be used in any geographic area necessary to locate the device using the target address in real time. Oh, I have a new thought. And the above listed service provider and any other person served with this order shall be, upon request by law enforcement, assist by providing on a 24-hour basis the listed investigative agency and all information tending to reveal or lead to learning the location of the device using the target address, including positioning information such as GPS, the longitude, the latitude, the multilateration and precision location, prospective cell site tower location information, which is the CSLI, or other information tending to reveal the proximate or precise location of the device. So that's all about the including the positioning information in the GPS. So we were wondering if they were able to collect any kind of data like that, even with that phone, that was turned off those 2 hours. But I've always wondered about what they were able to obtain out of that particular warrant when they
Hmm.
were able to do that, right? So they're doing that. And then what do we got here? It's all sideways. Let me turn us a receipt. It's a receipt. Hey.
Won't let you
Sorry.
blow it up, huh?
Yeah, well, I have to get to it.
Oh, okay.
I had to turn it around first. So it's got two blocks and they're redacted. Um, Store copy corner club. This is for the girls. Okay. Oh, we know what they bought. We know what they were drinking that night. Maddie was feeling good. Okay. They had the account name was Kaylee, and it was a swipe transaction. Um, 9 well vodkas for $27, two added juice for 50 cents, and a $4 pint. She spent $33.40. So Maddie had her some vodka shots, and they had a pint of something, and a little bit of juice, and there you go. She had her nice little buzz, right?
Sounds like it.
Okay. I'm gonna have to rotate this one. Let me get it. Are y'all going backwards and doing stuff? Did that make that? Okay. Now I do got to make this bigger because I can't see it. Was this the Costco wholesaler? Okay. Steve Trimmel is an employee at Costco, and I hereby certify that the accompanying documents are authentic copies of photocopies of video surveillance. So this would be the footage we spoke of about him going up to the Costco and trying to make entry, right? And then leaving.
Yep.
Okay, so they're going to use that. The crime scene scenario final.
Oh, yes.
Well, I'm gonna have to go get a cup of coffee. Can y'all talk amongst yourselves for a minute? First of all, I have been ignoring my chat, and I don't mean to do that. I gotta see who's in here. Let me
Yeah.
see.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Joe, that's what I was saying. Joe,
I
Joe's
got.
like 9 vodka shots for more than $33. I don't know. I'm not much of a
Oh,
drinker,
I don't
so I
know.
don't know. I don't know. It
It's
sounds
the
cheap to me,
bar.
Cheap
though.
vodka, Joel. Yeah,
It's
Joe,
the
it said
bar.
well vodka.
Yeah, it
That's
Oh,
the
said
okay.
well
cheapest
Oh,
vodka.
swill they had.
that doesn't mean anything to me. I don't know.
It's not top shelf. It's not top shelf. It's well vodka. It's the cheap stuff.
No, that's why it's
So
cheap. Still gets you drunk, apparently.
yeah, it will. Yeah, it would certainly will. But
That's probably
yeah,
why they got the juice just to, to be able to tolerate it. Maybe.
maybe. I mean, I can shoot a straight
Maybe
shot
they
if
were
I
drinking
look.
screwdrivers.
It's screwdrivers. I was about to say I'm not a drinker either, but I'm not, I can shoot shots of whiskey.
What's a screwdriver? Orange juice and vodka?
Orange juice
Mm-hmm.
and vodka. I can put that down on the beach on a nice day as long as that shit's
Could have
cold.
been
Now,
vodka
like,
and
I've had
grapefruit
vodka and
juice,
cranberry
vodka and
juice before.
cranberry.
Yeah.
Yeah, vodka and cranberry's good. Kenny Chesney has a specialty drink that's
Yeah.
really good. But yeah, if I casually drink, I can handle me some vodka. And I'll do straight shots. It don't bother me.
Anywhere
I'm not
I've gone, one
I'm not
single
a
drink is
bougie
usually like
girl.
$7, $10 or something
I
or
don't go
more.
to yeah, I don't really buy drinks out, so I couldn't tell you what shit costs anymore. That was back in the day. I have no idea what alcohol costs these days. I really couldn't tell you. My
Yeah.
sister might, we might get a little liquor for the camp if we go camping, but other than that, I don't know. Flip flops. Thank you for being here, Black Hawk. Hello, welcome in. Thank you, Rum Runners.
Oh
uh,
yeah, I like those. I like sweet drinks.
we
Yep.
yeah, we make some rum drinks sitting around the campfire when we're up at the camp. Nikki, Bobby, welcome in. Thanks again, everybody, for being here. Like I said, this is some new documents that came down. I was totally unprepared, and I got hit up at 12 gauge. Welcome in, and the girls were like, "New docs." We decided to come live, but I do want to take the time to go grab a cup of coffee real quick, if y'all
Yep.
don't mind, and
No, we'll talk a little bit.
do that, and then we'll come back. I'll be right back, and we'll get started on this. Next document. Again, thank you all for being here. Dolphin Firefly, I so appreciate you guys. I'll be right
No
back.
worries. Go get your coffee. Get
Okay.
your coffee. So, Dolphin,
Mm-hmm.
are you? Oh, okay. I didn't know if you're muted. Can you mute up? Did
Yeah, I
we?
was
We didn't
muted.
get much further than this, right? Isn't this where we stopped right at his
Well, we started
paper?
reading it.
We started reading it. Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah.
What
Good
was I
day,
going to say? Oh, and I
good
was just going to
day.
say to chat, keep in mind this was Kaylee's receipt. The receipt was time stamped
Hmm.
12:22 a.m. and I
Might
don't
have
think
more after.
Maddie had any money because remember at the grub truck, Kaylee had to pay for Maddie at the grub truck or
Right.
whatever. So maybe Kaylee was buying the drinks for her and Maddie,
Probably. Yeah.
and maybe that pint went to somebody else. Who knows?
Because to me, that's 10 drinks for $40. That's pretty cheap, I
No,
think.
not 10 drinks. I mean,
Not
they're
10
like
drinks.
shots.
So shots.
They're
Okay.
paying for shots. Well, like, even if it went down
Possibly.
into a drink, they're charging you for, the amount that went into the drink or whatever. So I'm like, okay, 9 shots, maybe, 4.5 per glass or whatever, plus the
Okay.
juice or whatever.
So it's like two drinks then. The nine was really like two
It could
drinks.
be two
And then the
drinks, right?
juice.
Or if the drinks are kind of light, maybe it's 4 drinks, like 2 shots per drink or whatever.
Okay.
And maybe somebody actually had a shot, or maybe it is that they just straight out bought like
Shots.
9 shots,
Yeah.
and then also had some juice as chaser or whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, shit, I went to talk and muted my own self. It's probably a sign. Um, do you feel like reading a moment? Do you want to take a shot at it for a minute? You or
Firefly,
Firefly?
that's all you.
Oh, you
Firefly, you haven't read for us in a minute. I just need to take a
Yeah,
break
because
for
I was doing something else.
Oh, but are you listening, Salty? Because I don't want you to miss it. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah, I got my phone. I am listening. I'm just gonna drink some coffee and go smoke a cigarette while you read, and take my phone with me out back while I do that,
Oh,
and
okay. Okay.
rest rest for my not talk for a second? 'Cause my voice is like,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
just the ones they paid for, possibly. Oh, yeah, right, Doc. They could have got drinks bought for them, right? All right, Firefly. Do you want to?
What page does that start on? Because I'm gonna
I was gonna
pull
say,
it
you
up.
want to bring up a screen, or do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Do you are
Um,
you at home? Can you bring up your screen, or do you want to run off this one? I'd have to move it for you.
I'll run off yours because I don't. Yeah,
Okay, let me know if you can see it well enough, though. I can get it
it's a little small for me. That's why I was wanting to know what page because I could go. It's 34.
34.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Everybody. Oops, see that's. I don't want to. Is that good for everybody right there? All right. Yes, ma'am. Page 34, and I won't be gone but a second, but I am listening.
Okay. All right. So this next thing looks like a paper for one of his criminology classes, a crime scene scenario final from May 5th, 2020. So first thing says arriving at the crime scene. The first thing to be done is block off the crime scene in order to avoid crime scene contamination. Keeping people out of the scene minimizes eminent evidence contamination, though many may be curious to see what occurred. The theory of transfer states that we bring something with us to the crime scene and we take something away, thus skewing the crime scene from the original state by contamination. I wonder what he left behind. This is because the original
The
state of the
sheets.
crimes yeah, yeah. This is because the original state of the crime scene was left by the criminal suspect. A lack of contamination allows the scene to be a snapshot in time. The curious must be noted and immediately evicted from the scene. People to be kept out of the scene include unauthorized civilians, any more than the absolute minimum number of law enforcement agents and forensic crime scene processors. Waiting for backup to arrive. I should stand guard at the scene, preventing these unauthorized people and even holding back eager officers from entering the scene. I must call my immediate supervisor and inform them of the deceased white female who is approximately 35 years of age. Case study rate. I must obtain an initial search warrant to search the scene. Failing to do so will mean that evidence is inadmissible. This is another reason why holding personnel from entering is key. The coroner must be called in order to pronounce the woman dead, and EMS should be called if they were not already called by patrol officer 15 minutes earlier, as they would have provided emergency care if the woman showed sign of life. This would have been important for many reasons. Her livelihood is one reason, but from the stance of a patrol officer or criminal investigator, she may have been given a dying declaration of her attacker when informed of her impending death. Forensic services are next on the list to call, as they are best equipped to handle evidence, process it, and ensure that there is not any contamination. Can you still see all this? I think it has to be moved up.
Um,
Might be better if I show my screen, but I don't know. Anyways, their van also contains the best equipment for forensic investigation. A cursory search of the immediate area should be done, and any observations should be recorded in field notes as to ensure the integrity of the preliminary case report. Officers who are not needed at the residence should ensure that the general area is searched for anything that stands out as well. This includes the area of the trailer park, which contains 62 trailers. So I guess that would be equate to like the immediate area of the neighborhood.
mhm.
All right. So, if there's anyone at the trailer, they should be moved out and questioned. Does she have kids?
Where are you at? You on the next
Oh,
page?
I'm on the next page. Yeah, I'm sorry.
You're all right. I was listening. I tried to get in here as quick as I could. Okay.
Got it?
This is crazy, right?
It's crazy.
Interesting.
I should gather the following information in my notes as the investigation commences, which will later be included in my preliminary case report when the details of the case culminate. The offense, the time of day, date and approximate time of the offense if known, identification of the victim, location of the offense, method of operation if known, and the identification of the officer. Since the offender was not there, I would be unable to record this information initially, and the specifics of the crime won't be known until confirmed by the crime lab. Getting the approximate time is important and can be indicated by rigor mortis, which sets in at about 12 hours, or putrefaction about 10 to 20 days. All this information will aid me as I attempt to reconstruct the scene of the crime based on the evidence location in relation to its former known position. Equipment I have on hand for the investigation. Got that? Okay, to be prepared for the crime scene investigation, I must ensure that I have a crime toolkit containing the following: 35mm camera or digital camera capable of videotaping with an adequate supply of film and power, a portable lighting system to ensure quality photographs and that I do not miss or step over any evidence, assorted steel tape measures that can reach at least 25 feet, a ruler or other measuring marking devices, latent fingerprinting equipment, gloves to protect the scene from contamination. This will enable that I avoid leaving my latent fingerprints, forceps and small tweezers, and a pair of scissors. Do we need to move up yet? Okay. A small saw to take evidence, for example, drywall, filter paper or small swabs of liquid for evidence or trace evidence, various evidence containers for liquid and solid evidence. I guess not. Red Solo cups are not included in that, in case anybody's following the Karen Reed trial. That's what they used. Paper envelopes for physical evidence. Evidence tape to seal off the evidence containers. Casting materials to take molds of possible footprints around the perimeter with a rubber container for the mixture. A magnifying device should be kept. Crime scene tape for the scene. Protective clothing, boot covers, eyewear, fiber-free overalls, face masks, hairnets, gowns, and anything that will prevent me from contaminating the scene with things I bring with me. A blue light with yellow glasses, which makes small trace evidence more visible and
What
can be
page are
used.
you on?
Oh,
Okay,
I'm sorry, I have to turn the page. Sorry.
right. So I just caught up to you. Just making sure that everybody else got you on the same page. Okay, go ahead,
Okay.
ma'am.
A blue light with yellow glasses, which makes small trace evidence more visible and can be used to ensure that a photo is taken of all evidence. There could be a very small amount of blood somewhere which wouldn't have been sampled, documented, or photographed otherwise. Okay, now entering the home for crime scene documentation and initial photography videography. I may enter upon judicial approval of the search warrant and should do so with the minimum number of personnel. Having too many personnel evident in the photography may put the integrity of the evidence into question and taint the scene. A contamination list should be made, documenting every person who enters and exits the crime scene and why. This includes first responding officers, firefighters, EMTs, family members, criminal investigators, and all crime scene personnel. Still, there should not be any, Still, there should not be many people in the crime scene. Otherwise, contamination will increase as theory of exchange inevitably manifests.
Mhm.
Okay. I must ensure that myself and my fellow crime scene personnel are wearing gloves and other protective equipment to avoid contaminating the scene with latent fingerprints. Did you want to say something?
No, I was just making sure I was trying to keep up with you there.
Oh, did I move up again? Okay, sorry.
No, you're good.
A fiber-free boot cover would also be ideal to avoid leaving physical footprints or residue from the boot.
Oh,
Anything,
so look,
yeah.
a fiber-free boot cover would also be ideal to avoid leaving
Oh,
physical
yeah.
footprints or residue from the boot.
You think he
Um,
wore booties?
you di I've always suspected that he did.
Yeah.
Um, he knew exactly what to do and not to do.
Mm-hmm.
And
That would
people
explain.
Yeah, I mean, the only mistake the guy left was accidentally leaving that sheath when shit went real sideways real fast.
Yeah, because they teach you, obviously, they teach you that principle. You're going to bring something with you and leave it at the scene, and you're going to take something from the scene with you.
Hmm.
So, it's inevitable.
He
So,
took every measure he knew to take
to prevent that.
if he's the guy. And that always made sense to me when I learned what he did for or what he studied. I mean, it wouldn't take, everybody's like, oh, he knew all this stuff. Yeah, exactly. That's why there wasn't a lot at the crime scene except for a sheath. But go ahead.
Okay, let's see, where was I? Anything that is fiber-free or covers the mouth, hair, and overall body would be helpful in avoiding crime scene contamination, since hair, saliva, skin cells, and other bodily fluid or cells may be added to the scene, thus contaminating it. Okay, maybe that's why he covered his head in the balaclava too. No hairs from the scene, into the
Hmm.
scene.
So, Doc, really, Magnum, because we've wondered that. I just noticed his comment
What do you say?
um, um, about Maddie's wall, the
Off or
cut.
moving? Yes.
Was there something there, right?
I always wondered that too. Was it
There's
something written?
written in blood, drawn in blood.
Mhm.
What's that one killer that used to draw the little pentagram thingy? The Night Stalker
Smiley
guy,
face? Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure.
draw the big thing on the wall. Um, they are tend to leave calling cards. I was here or whatever. What was it? Just all of Kaylee's wounds being inflicted? Did that all spatter against the wall, and that's what the purpose was, or was there something significant to that? And I've often wondered that, Magnum. So thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, because you're not the only one who's thought
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Okay. Fibers can be left via the theory of exchange and would contaminate the crime scene from its initial state as the offender left it. Even if we can't assume that there was an offender despite seeming obvious, preventing contamination is an important way to ensure the integrity of the investigation and evidence. We should always treat the crime scene as if there is indeed a criminal homicide, as to not miss out on important details. That's how the crime scene is being handled. The first thing for me to do is to take a coordinated series of crime scene photographs with digital photography device or a 35mm camera with a natural point of view. These photos must be taken prior to the movement of any object in the crime scene to ensure that the photo captures the scene as the offender left it. The photograph should be taken from a general view of the exterior of the home, as well as general views of the interior, recording of the time and details of the photography in my notes. Setting up portable lighting ensures the elements of the crime are adequately illuminated for photographic documentation. That's that page. Okay. You change pages? Okay, yeah. The photo should be in color as to provide the best, most accurate image, thus avoiding photographic distortion. The following details regarding photography should be recorded in the field notes and on the back of the photos if possible. Recording these details will ensure that the defense attorney does not attempt to devalue the quality of your evidence, which may make it inadmissible. Data to identify the subject of the photograph, but without too much unnecessary information. The location of the photograph, including the state, city, and street address. The identifying data of the photographer, including the name, police agency, badge number, and identification number. The case number, if established at the time of dispatch. Precise time of the photograph. The date the photograph was taken. The weather at the time. The photographic equipment used, including shutter speeds, film type, and developing and printing techniques. Next, photos of specific rooms should be taken with special attention to the living room in which the deceased woman was found. Okay, it would be the bedrooms, obviously, right? As the coordination of photos is focused inward, specific components of the crime, like physical evidence, should be accounted for and detailed. These should also be logged in my field notes. The physical evidence should be photographed next to a measure marker, which can be a ruler or any or other easily comparable object of well-known size. The body and physical evidence to take a picture prior to the collection from the forensic services and criminal investigator of includes the deceased woman in the living room, who should be photographed under adequate lighting from a long view. Specific shots should be focused on the evidence of harm on her body and clothing, the bruises on her face, the marks on her neck, the bloody shirt, and any other signs of postmortem lividity should be photographed and taped without moving the victim. A measuring marker should be placed next to her.
Do you know, I bet this guy has studied the crime scene photos turned over in Discovery.
I mean,
You know,
probably.
I know he has. I can feel it. He's looking for any discrepancy. What can I say? What can I, and maybe even reliving something by seeing those
Yeah,
images. Um, but at the same time, looking for any mistakes that might have been made, right?
yep.
All right, good. You can go ahead. You're doing a great job, by the way.
All right. This will show if an offender moved the woman as to manipulate the crime scene. Does she have defense wounds? Are there hesitation marks on her related to the knife? Are there multiple stab wounds? These
Hesit
must be.
hang
Yikes.
hang on, I gotta soak that in for a moment.
Oh,
Does she have defense wounds? Are there hesitation marks on her related to the knife? What does that mean? Hesitation marks on the assailant's part?
um,
Yeah.
I always thought like if you're self-inflicting wounds, you will have hesitation marks. That's sometimes how they can tell, like if there's two victims and one survives and they have stab wounds, but they're not fatal, right? You can tell
Yeah,
there's hesitation mark. I don't know what that
talking
means
about,
in
For like
relation
a
to a
first
murder.
time killer, though.
yeah,
Oh
The
yeah, maybe
hesitation marks on the purpose of that,
you're
like
like
not
afraid to stab.
afraid to,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That makes
not
sense
sure
too.
about cutting somebody
yeah,
and all that. Yeah.
right,
Or
because this is
comfortable
coming from
doing it.
the perpetrator's point of view. In my is what I'm like
True.
I've often, right? So it's like hesitation marks. Did he? Yeah, that's odd. Um,
Yeah. If you really want to do it. Ooh, yeah.
yeah, okay. So go ahead.
All these must be photographed and taped. Are you on the next page? I can't tell.
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. Sorry, because I'm reading from my own. Is the mark on her neck related to the hanger near her? The photographs make sure that these items were indeed present at the crime scene. Most of these questions are speculated until absolutely confirmed by the forensic medical examiner, who can use specific equations to determine the approximate time of death. This is a maximum that stands even when the scene. Wait a minute, wait. This is a maximum that stands even when the scene seems to point to the obvious. The time of death is never entirely accurate, but the photographs can aid in this process as they capture phenomena such as rigor mortis or putrefaction when the woman was found. The knife should be photographed under adequate light, and a marker should be placed next to the knife to give best photographic representation of the evidence. The misshapen coat hanger should be photographed under adequate light, and a measure marker should be placed next to the evidence. The upended furniture and the children's furniture should be photographed firstly from a long view and then focus specifically on each piece of furniture under adequate lighting with a measurement marker. All of this should be well documented in the field notes and on the photograph. Is there any sign of forced entry into the home? This would be evident by broken glass from windows and pry marks on the doors or windows surrounding the house. This should be photographed, videotaped, and documented. If there is not forced entry, it may suggest that the woman knew her killer. Hmm. Hmm.
Was
Okay.
this right?
There was no forced entry, right?
Right.
That they know. Okay, a video camera will be used as well to go over all the evidence which was photographed. Documentation of the video evidence should also be filled out and recorded in the field notes. Okay, crime scene sketch. The crime scene sketch occurs after the scene was initially searched, photographed, and videotaped. Sketch is of great value in criminal court. This sketch should be done in first be done in pencil to ensure that the sketches accurately portrays evidence and measurements pertaining to the crime scene. The final version will be done in non-perishable ink via pen. Okay, next page.
Yep.
The physical evidence of the crime, which includes but not limited to the knife, misshapen coat hanger, furniture, as well as other biological evidence like body fluid, materials or fluid, should be drawn out in accurately measured proportions from each other and permanent objects in the crime scene sketch. The final search and confirmation by forensic processing unit and investigator will determine whether this was all the physical evidence at the scene. New evidence can be added to the crime scene sketch when new measurements are taken. The distance from permanent fixtures should be accurately recorded and depicted. The crime scene sketch should be measured by the criminal investigator and accurately displayed the proportions of the physical evidence. Any inaccurate portrayal of the location of evidence can influence the juror perception of the guilt or innocence of the suspect.
Hmm.
While you do not need to be an artist, the responsibility of sketching should be taken with accuracy and a goal for clear portrayal in mind. Makes me think, why they're trying to object to the model. The model that's not accurate.
Yeah, because it's
You know,
not as accurate as they want it to be.
right. Though I can assign another officer to sketch it, I have decided to take this task on. Oh, okay. A 25-foot steel measuring tape should be used to record these exact and accurately record measurements of the physical evidence and permanent objects in the house. Too much detail shouldn't be included in the sketch as to avoid confusion. Movable objects unrelated to the crime scene conveys details irrelevant to the crime and will be avoided.
Movable objects.
Movable objects, not a sheath.
Not the movable objects. Damn it, man. Movable items. Okay.
Unrelated. Okay.
Right, unrelated. Right.
Extraneous extraneous detail, including movable furniture, may cause issues if jurors recognize that items in the house were moved after the fact. This would be equivalent to crime scene contamination and may render evidence inadmissible. Okay. The living room should be sketched out with deceased woman being drawn in proportion to the knife, coat hanger, appended furniture, and children's furniture, walls, and permanent objects in the house. Other rooms that are relevant should be included in the sketch. I have decided to use a rectangular coordination method with two right angles being outlined in proportion to the physical evidence and permanent fixtures centering around the living room. A projection can be used to document biological trace evidence like bloodstains and other physical evidence that imprinted on the walls. Bullet holes would be something that should be ruled out, and if bullet holes are present, they should be documented on the 3D exploded sketch before the drywall is removed via saw. Okay, wow.
Okay, so hold on.
Sure.
We're talking about removing drywall here. Like
Yep.
so it was crime scenes and stuff. This
The
this
blood spatter. Yep.
yeah, this is from DeSales, so I'm like into this shit. So yeah, and if bullet holes are present, they should be documented on the 3D exploded sketch before the drywall is removed via saw.
But I think even blood stains and other physical
Oh
evidence
yeah,
is they're going to remove the
exactly. They
drywall.
are. They are.
So
But
that does tell you that there was something on that wall. It could have been blood stains. It could have
yeah,
just
like
been.
even like Magnum agreed to it could have been blood mixtures. We've talked
Mhm,
about that, Dolphin and I, and with the way we have theorized
mhm.
what happened with Kaylee. There could have been a lot of
Altercation right there by the door.
there could have been a
Yeah,
lot of blood all over that wall.
yeah, that's
You
true.
know, I think it wouldn't have been a mixture though. I think it would have been all Kaylee's because if Maddie was over in the bed, right?
You
Unless
probably, yeah,
unless he had some of Maddie's on him, and as he's taking, they may not know at first if there's mixtures or not, right? They're gonna have to take it for testing
yeah.
and all
They would
that.
take it
Yeah,
regardless. If
but I'm
there's
still
blood
gonna
spatter
recommend. Yeah,
pattern on it, they're gonna take
there's
it,
definitely something on there, right? We know they wouldn't have took it for no reason.
right?
It's just what was it? Was it just blood spatter, which is not horrible to say, just blood spatter, but you know what
Well,
I mean? Or was it something deeper than that? A
yeah,
calling card type symbol. Um, and then there's that photograph of something they took at the parents' home, but did not take the actual thing, but just took a photograph of it. Was that a symbol as well on the wall? I don't know.
Never know.
I've wondered. All
Firefly,
right, so
before you continue on, let me just say one quick thing.
Sure.
go ahead.
This final paper is for a
Yes.
class CJ361. That class is at DeSales
Okay.
University and it's called Forensic Investigation for 3 credits. It's an introduction to the practical procedures in criminal investigation, including scientific approaches to solving crimes and presentation of criminal case in court of law. Included will be demonstrations of various techniques and hands-on experiences for the students.
This is
Mm,
That's what this final
introduction.
is
Wow.
for, is
Pretty cool.
forensic investigation.
Interesting. Okay.
that's very cool, Dolphin. Thank you.
Hmm.
For us to know because this is a pretty interesting and that they have it, and of course, people are going to say, well, of course that he studied this. Da 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 da. Okay,
Yeah,
so,
this
Yeah, but it,
probably is one of the classes that involve the murder house
yeah.
there
uh-huh.
at
Oh,
DeSales.
definitely. Definitely.
With what to do with that, yeah, I agree because we know that they were doing that stuff there. We've looked into that and saw all the details about that. So are we up
Hmm.
to page 40 now?
I think there. Let's see. There's
Yeah.
one more little
Okay.
thing point there. And that's it. Though it appears obvious that the knife was used in this crime, we do not know for sure and should make sure to document everything and look for less apparent evidence. Okay, now on the next page.
Less apparent evidence. That's
Hmm,
because things you may not think are evidence will be actual evidence, right?
that's true.
Yeah, because you don't ever know what's evidence and what isn't when you arrive at a crime scene. You have no way of knowing until you start photographing everything and taking everything,
Hmm, yep.
and working through it. So, all
Oh, listen to this next part. This is interesting too.
right,
Okay.
go. We got you pulled up here.
Even if there was an item introduced to the scene by an offender to throw off investigators, it is not the job of criminal investigators processing the scene to jump to conclusions. Interesting to me.
Some um, something left to throw off the investigators.
Even
Intro-
if there was, but
yeah, even if there was an item introduced to the scene by an offender
like the
to.
sheath. Like what if he
No,
left the sheath
that
to mislead them and it was something totally different? You know what I mean?
no, he didn't leave that to throw off nobody. That damn thing
Well,
is.
now that we know he bought a K bar, I guess
I mean,
that's
yeah,
for
but
sure.
to me that was never that was a total freaking accident. But he could have easily introduced something else to the. He didn't mean to do the sheep, so take the sheep, pretend the sheep didn't. It's not there.
Yeah.
He could have easily introduced something else to that crime scene, right? We've discussed that actually. Um, even I think somebody brought up the blood on the stairs. The things like that. Who knows? Guy's not dumb.
Maybe
He
he
was
did
trying.
bring the blood and put it on the stair rail
He may
from him.
have.
I
If
mean, who knows?
if
Because it even shows here he's like aware of that,
oh
that
God,
throws
yes,
off
that's what I'm
people.
saying. If he's the guy, he knows
Uh-huh.
things to do. And don't think he didn't think of all the different options available to him. What could I do? And is it some of that working now? Unknown male DNAs, stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. I'm just that's a stretch because DNA.
Hmm.
Maybe he collected somebody's shedding DNA somewhere. I don't know.
I don't know, probably not, but yeah, it's just
Introducing
I
you can
just think it's interesting.
you can introduce anything to a crime scene to make it look
Yeah,
like another type of weapon or another shoe print or any. There's all kind of you could leave something there,
yeah.
like on purpose to throw off the investigators. But it's
Hmm.
not their job to figure that out as a crime scene technician on the scene trying to document the scene. Right, that's up to the investigators to figure out once the process begins.
Yep.
But okay, we hear you, Mr. Student. We see you.
The crime lab will be able to decipher with scientific certainty what is and is not an original element of the crime. Staging is common. For example, the offender may have taken items from the house to make it look like a burglary turned robbery, which went wrong. I don't know if there's anything missing from their house. I don't think there's anything missing,
No,
was there?
they have not reported. It was labeled as a
Okay.
burglary because he made entry, right? We all went through the
To
Idaho.
commit a crime. Yeah.
yeah, we all went through the codes about that because there was all this burglary charge. Why is there a burglary charge? But nothing of note ever mentioned in any documents or by the police that there was something taken from the crime scene, right? Like
Nope.
stolen.
Nope.
No.
Okay. The official crime preliminary report should include an accurate sketch with the following details included: the name of the investigator and identifying badge number, a detailed location of the scene, such as city, state, and street address. The living room should be noted as the center of the sketch. The date, exact time of the sketch was first drawn in pencil, evidence listing key, which shows evidence as it corresponds to a letter or marked indicated in said key, the case number of the investigation, compass arrow giving direction, the scale of the sketch should be included, or the words not drawn to scale.
Oh, not drawn to
And
scale.
that's interesting.
You're
I
right.
am maybe that's why he complained about the scale of the who knows.
It's not just that, they're gonna complain about all of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember, if you remember in the beginning, she was talking about needing the certifications of the crime scene
Mhm.
technicians, all those things. Yeah, gotta make sure they're doing their job right. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
I am choosing to draw it to scale, where 1/4 inch equals 1 foot. The Computer Aided Design Program, or CAD, which uses laser lights to take up to 25,000 measurements per second in 3D, may be used if available. Okay. For the
Mm.
scale of the scene is most accurate. I would request that if CAD were available, if available, for it gives, I'm sorry, I would request the CAD if available, for it gives the best portrayal of this serious crime, allowing for an accurate point of view and zooming of particular elements of the crime scene.
Hmm. So he knows damn well that
CD
dollhouse,
scan is
or
good. Mhm.
he knows that ain't just some damn dollhouse.
Mm-mm. Very
Okay.
good. Okay, I think I need
Yeah.
next page or
Are you at the more comprehensive crime scene
yes.
search?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, more comprehensive crime scene search using the strip search method. In order to collect evidence from the interior of the residence, I will assign roles to officers on the scene, briefing them to watch where they're stepping and not act impulsively or without great care. Hasty actions will lead to valuable evidence being trampled on and lost. The strip search method is what I have decided on, as it allows for the interior of the crime scene to be searched from one end to the other with more than one officer or forensic processing unit. The exterior of the property should be searched from one end to the other as well, switching to a grid search if necessary. Walking from one end of the scene to the opposite end of the scene, I will then turn around, cover the ground to right or left without stepping on the same spot twice.
Mm.
The rooms of the trailer should be searched in this method with special attention to the living room where the victim lies, assigning a CSI office or officer and myself to the section that would allow the scene is
Uh-oh.
thoroughly checked.
Okay. Do we
Hmm?
have you? Okay. You bleeped out. Well, you kind of went down for a minute, but you're back. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Next,
Next
this
page.
is crazy stuff that he was, aware of.
Yeah. I mean, this is very, very interesting. Okay. As I move from one end to the other, I will make sure that I shine my flashlight ahead of myself to ensure that I do not damage or carry away smaller pieces of evidence of physical evidence. Smaller ugh. Are you still there?
Mhm.
Oh, it sounded like she cut out. Okay. Smaller items of physical evidence include wood chips, hair, paint flakes, glass fragments, or small fibers. If not careful, these may be lost or even accounting for or observing them. If the new pieces of physical evidence are uncovered, I will take note of it for documentation and photography and videography. Things such as footprints inside and outside should be prepared to be photographed and then videotaped. I must photograph and videotape the new evidence, as well as log it with the following information and account for it within the crime scene sketch: the time and date of evidence discovery, location that I found the evidence, name of myself or whichever officer, CSI, or criminal investigator discovered it, As this is a serious crime, I have chosen that specialized crime scene personnel will assist me. A description of the evidence, any identifying marks to further detail the evidence, the name of an officer who witnessed the find. This will ensure that there's no question that it was indeed an element of the original crime scene. This will save the investigator setbacks in court. So that's going to be relevant to like the sheet, right? They're going to have whoever's with them to
Mhm.
document, to
Mhm.
verify.
Like a chain of custody.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Also, what you just read right before that about walking around the crime scene and everything,
yeah.
like, shows you that he would be very aware of not wanting to track things
Right.
all around the
Mhm.
house and whatnot, around
Right.
his crime scene.
Like not step in blood to spread
Mhm.
it and leave latent
Mhm.
footprints.
With
You know.
everybody saying there would have been this mess, he would have done this and tracked blood everywhere. Really? Because I think he might have wore protection and did things to try to
The
avoid.
little booties, the little covers over shoes for sure. Don't you think?
Oh, Firefly. Now
Yes.
that actually brings into mind. Remember the video that we saw the other night that I had been looking for a long time?
Yes.
Salty,
Mark,
we found this video. The Remember we watched this. I think we all watched this together. Um, the older gentleman
I think
who
it's Mark
basically was
G or
showing you, yeah, it's this Mark C, he was showing you how he could have gotten out of the scene and not gotten blood in his car, and
Oh yeah,
putting something down, taking his clothes off. It was like in the kitchen and whatnot.
yes.
And yeah, I think after you like think about all
yeah,
of this that you're reading, yeah,
Hmm.
y'all should probably
go over that.
watch that.
Yeah, because for all the people that think 10 minutes isn't enough to do this crime without leaving any evidence, and it's really quick. It doesn't take but a minute for him to take off.
Well, he
It,
was moving kind of slow because he was,
Mhm.
yeah,
narrating his demonstration and everything. But yeah, just think of somebody who's like half his age,
Yeah.
yeah. And
more.
it's
Yeah.
it's a combination of this happening quickly, but also this guy being super prepared,
Mhm.
not to leave anything behind that he could possibly help, right? And doing everything in his power. Because I'm telling you, if it wasn't for that sheet, the guy he probably would not be arrested right now.
Yep.
Unless they have excellent car footage of him right there. And all we see right now is grainy footage putting him right there by the house. If we look at Linda Lane and evaluate it fairly, we can't tell what kind of car that is for sure, without a doubt. We just know it's similar to what he has. So would that ever have been enough? Without a sheath to get DNA profile from, they wouldn't have got an IgG name.
Yep.
So if they never caught that car with a license plate anywhere in town, they wouldn't even possibly know who the hell this guy is to this day.
Yep. It's
Hmm.
possible.
All they got in that house is that sheath.
Yep.
And so how would they have known to look for him if they didn't have some DNA from the crime scene? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't think they, unless they have more that we
Well,
know.
yeah, they didn't just have that. They were looking for the car too.
Yeah, I mean, I know they were looking for the car. I said,
But
but
that's
if they
not enough.
did,
Hmm.
Yeah, but if they didn't have the sheath, I got what you said. If they
yeah.
didn't have the sheath, they did identify the make and model of the car,
Well,
and they were subsequently other agencies in, Moscow and Pullman, the surrounding areas, were looking for that car.
yeah, and
So
they found
even
it.
if they had like
Yeah.
interviewed those
Mm.
people who owned, those cars or whatever, they would have probably eventually gotten
Maybe
him.
eventually, yeah.
It
No,
would have
they
But
would
taken
have
longer.
eventually got him, but we now know from documents that WSU identified this man and this car in November, and Moscow
Mhm.
says we didn't hear his name till December. So I
Right.
have to wonder how long it would have taken them to identify this guy.
I mean, I
Yeah, it would have
hate to
taken a
bring up
lot.
Delphi, but it took
Mhm.
them a hell of a long time to identify that guy. So
Actually, that guy came forward right away and said I was there.
I know, but it took them a while to put two and two together. It seems like
You
so.
know what they put together? An unspent bullet that they fired about 15 times before they finally decided, yeah, it came from his gun.
Yeah,
That was the nail in the coffin in Delphi.
I don't know. That's yeah, pretty
So
thin nail.
that's crazy. I mean, we're talking whole different case there, whole different set of
Yeah.
evidence, lack of, all the things. We wanted the FBI in Delphi. We wanted them to come do some IGG, but no, FBI was kicked out and we got no IGG. But over here in Idaho, IGG bad, FBI bad to the same people. Like I can't. Yeah, that's ridiculous. But besides the
Mhm.
point, But yeah, this guy knew a lot. Uh, if Rick Allen did it, that dude wasn't that smart. I mean, that dude was just not that smart to begin with, and got damn well fucking lucky for years that the cops in that town were stupid and couldn't find him when he was living right there the whole time.
I know, that seems crazy to me.
Yeah, it's real crazy.
So you want me
Anyway,
to keep reading this document? Because I mean, it's pretty pertinent to, like,
yeah.
it
Oh
shows
yeah.
that he knew exactly what was going
Yeah,
on,
you're good.
right?
I'm gonna close my door because the kiddos are home, and I don't want him to be
Okay,
playing that damn VR, and he's gonna make a lot of noise. So I'm gonna mute out and close my door real quick.
okay. I think you need to turn the page down a little because I'm about to read the last sentence on there. All the information that is carefully recorded at the crime scene evidence aids in the crime report. The location of this evidence is very important, for it may give the following information: establish the tracing of or identification of the suspect, establishing the suspect's modus operandi or MO, or identifying similar MOs via information added to the FBI's Violent Criminals Apprehension Program from the completed crime report, confirming alibis or exposing lies, disproving alibis, connecting suspects to the crime or eliminating suspects, the identification of contraband, stolen property, or other illegal items, identifying victims if they are not identified. For example, we can't assume the woman lives at this residence before confirming it. A dead body may not be initially tied to the residence. Providing investigative leads, for example, checking into the husband or boyfriend and location of the children based on the crime scene evidence, is warranted. Providing a statutory element of the offense. Let's see, make sure you turn the page. Got to
Hold
turn
on,
the page.
where am I? What page we at? Because I
Oh,
had
nine, page 9. Collection
okay.
of items of evidence. Okay.
Gotcha.
Li- Like the crime scene photography, larger items of physical evidence are taken first. This includes disheveled furniture, a children's furniture, cell phone, and a computer, if there, the knife, and a coat hanger. The body will be taken later by CSI with a coroner for custody to wait for analysis by a forensic medical examiner trained to perform the autopsy. The knife should be examined for latent fingerprints to be logged separately. Same with the coat hanger, doorknobs and around the house, upended furniture, cell phone, and virtually any physical evidence big enough to grab. Crimes of passion are rooted in emotionality and impulsivity. If this is the case, we can likely count on there being latent fingerprints on the doorknob and all over the knife and victim. Smaller objects of biological or trace evidence, such as hair and fibers from clothing, must be collected using metal forceps or tweezers as to avoid damaging the delicate evidence which may hold significant value in the criminal investigation. Fingerprints and footprints are class evidence to be taken with molds or a fingerprinting kit. Fingerprints should be entered into AFIS. I should use a swab where applicable to collect fluids or skin cells which contain DNA. Yeah. The shirt likely contains not only the blood of the woman, but the blood of possible offender.
Mm,
The DNA from biological evidence should be swabbed, placed in a vial, documented in notes and on the container for evidence chain of custody, and included to be sent to the crime lab. The shirt will be later bagged and taken separately as physical evidence. I should make sure to swab under her fingernails to see if DNA of the offender is there. She's likely dug
wow,
into their skin. Yep.
Maddie's fingernails.
Yep. I wonder why we only have Maddie's. Because she was the
I
one
don't
I thought
know if
was
it.
most likely to sleep of all of them, no? I mean, whatever. It is
Don't know
what it is.
if it. I don't know if it depended on what DNA. If they were able to identify the DNA under the other kids' nails,
But
right?
you would think Xana, because
Or,
since she grabbed the knife, it sounds like, right? Because her fingers were hurt.
I don't know. I'm assuming if she.
She didn't get
I
the
don't know if
scratching.
that was. I don't know if that was from her throwing up her hand and got slashed, or her grabbing a knife.
She
I'm
grabbed, sounds like she grabbed the knife
um,
based
what
on the almost.
well, based on what we've heard, right?
Yeah, right.
Because we don't know definitively, but
That's
I do think
true.
she. But
Mm,
uh, okay.
okay.
Let's
Is
read the
there evidence of sexual assault or semen present? Oh, it wasn't supposed to say those words, I guess. The evidence should be marked, swabbed, and collected in a glass vial or cellophane bag. Is there evidence of personation? Personation. Did the offender take something, or did the offender display an excessive need for control over the victim, as demonstrated by a possible SA or and murder? These are all observations to be recorded, though not conclusively. During searching the During the searching phase, the evidence should be marked with the following information in the field notes and later in the evidence seal packaging. I am choosing to bag all evidence and not directly mark it, for it will be sent to forensics lab. The size of the object, physical nature of the object, such as is it solid or liquid. If the evidence is liquid, it should always be kept in an airtight container, such as a cellophane bag or glass vial, and marked. You mean the red Solo cup isn't a good container?
Oh
you guys
damn!
don't. You
What
guys don't know the Karen Reed trial. They picked up the blood in the snow with red Solo cups and put
they
it
call
in like a shop, like a grocery bag, a
like a brown bag,
brown bag from a grocery
brown
store.
grocery sack. They scooped up
Yes,
blood out of snow
yes,
in a cup, red Solo cups of all things, and throw them in a
red
brown
Solo
bag,
cups. Yep.
seal it up. There's our evidence.
Anyways,
So
mind blowing.
that's kind of like forensic failure 101, right?
Yeah. Okay. Like I said, they did a really bad job at that case.
Yeah, they
Okay.
did. They did.
All right. The value of the object and the number of like objects. The case number pertaining to evidence. I think I got to turn page 10.
Yes, ma'am.
The date and exact time retrieved. The initials of the person who marked the evidence. BK in this case. Oops. Okay.
What? It's the
BK.
initials. I need to shot that. Hold up. That's just to me.
Who marked the evidence?
I'm gonna look. My thing.
You
Okay,
gonna
I'm just gonna.
screenshot it? Okay.
Yeah, I did. I might need that for a thumbnail or some kind of fucking
Yep, yep,
piece.
yep. This process should be done so as many times as needed. It may occur up to 1,000 or more times. Ooh, man. It must be counted accurately and the quantity should be accurately recorded on the container. Packaging the evidence forensic lab. Each item I collect, including but not limited to the knife, coat hanger, and bloody clothing on the woman, must be packaged in the proper way for forensic lab analysis. Don't say. I must use separate containers for evidence, not mixing them up and causing any confusion, no matter how daunting this may be. I must use new, clean packaging that was not previously used as to avoid contamination. Obviously, blood or other biological evidence renders a container spent. Avoid metal containers which may be reused as ideal to confirm the container is indeed disposed of afterward. The package must be sealed with a strong medium, such as a strong tape. Items of clothing need to be kept as is and not folded. I must keep the evidence that was found in a container as is and mark it. I must include a letter of transmittal to state what type of analysis must be done. For example, wound analysis, DNA or fingerprinting, even ballistics.
Right?
Again,
And
I
these
must
are.
account for all. Yeah, sorry.
I was just gonna say, and this is a lot of the things that him and Anne are insisting. You know what I mean? The
Hmm.
analysis. She needs the analysis of this and that.
Hmm.
She's got a bunch of crime scene lab texts from ISP. She doesn't. She's got an issue with. We saw it in one of the filings we just read. What day before
Hmm.
yesterday? So it's just interesting that the some of the things they're attacking on the defense end, he
Yeah,
knows to. You know what I'm saying? People,
he knows what
he's
he. Yeah, he knows the process. Yep.
yeah, he's all up involved with his defense. And you can rest assured that he's pointed out a million things to Taylor she needs to look at and get and
Sure.
go after.
Yep.
And wonder if it's got on her nerves yet.
Probably. It's his wheelhouse. So he's gonna make it known that I know what's going on here. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Again, I must account for and log all this evidence in the chain of custody form, and where it was found, how, when, who is transporting it, and when the evidence locker located. The woman must be removed by a certified professional and sealed, taken into custody by the coroner, and sent to forensic medical examiner for forensic autopsy. This must all be logged in the field notes and initial crime report before compiled in the closing report. The crime scene will be surveyed if necessary, but the longer time it takes to do so, the more chance crime scene is contaminated.
Hmm.
When mailed, I must send this evidence in registered mail enclosed with secure receipt. This careful collection of evidence is all necessary for the crime lab criminalist to be capable of analyzing all elements of the crime, being that they rarely come on the scene.
You know he's sitting there analyzing every piece of
Oh,
evidence.
hell yes, yeah.
Damn
Evidence
it, man.
evidence chain of custody and inventory receipts. The careful description of evidence, when and where the evidence was found, and who found it are all related to the evidence chain of custody. All evidence must be described and then transported and placed in evidence locker. The identity of the transporter and the location of the evidence locker must be accounted for. Page
This
11.
is like forensic 101,
Yeah, yeah.
guys.
Very
We're all getting
interesting.
a Crash Course University course here.
Very
Um,
interesting. It sounds daunting though, doesn't it? Like it's a lot.
well,
It
I I think it sounds cool. I would, like I said,
does.
if I could do it all over again, I would do this.
But
But
there's
it's like
so many pieces of
eh, but
evidence. Oh my
but a
gosh.
lot of this is like if those of us who like watch forensic files and things of that nature and
Mhm.
follow crime, you know a lot of this stuff, just like generalized. But he knows the details, you know. But to take a course like this and to learn all this and just hearing it like this to me it's pretty intriguing and it's interesting as to me it's interesting as hell.
It
And
is interesting.
to
It is
me,
very.
yeah, and it goes into, showing the type of guy we were dealing with, and what he, because everybody's like, how could, there's no way he could have done it. He'd have left DNA everywhere. No, really, and all, we've heard all the bullshit, how he could have screwed this up so many ways. But we also know he was into the data in the cloud-based forensics and wanted to teach these small town cops how to handle their data based for cloud based forensics. All these crime scene investigations. Dolphins mentioned the murder house that he had to go in and study and do things. And what was it, Dolphin? Like it's a mock crime scene, correct?
Oh,
And
mhm.
yeah, and they have to go in and do all of the things he's talking about here. They do that there. So it's pretty interesting, and so you can't say this guy didn't know what he was doing because he absolutely did know what he was doing. He just made a fatal mistake.
Yeah, definitely.
And on that's only for one reason. Yeah, Joe, I do think it's like Stefan Stern's blowing out tire. Because if things hadn't have went sideways upstairs in that bedroom, that sheath wouldn't have got left there.
Yeah. They might still be looking for him.
I'll die on that. I promise you
Mm.
that. That's where I stand.
Okay. If the evidence is taken out of the locker at the police department, it must be recorded who did so, and why they did so. The knife, misshapen wire coat hanger, and any physical or biological or trace evidence found must be accounted for, bagged, and sealed, and then kept in an evidence locker. Her bloody clothing should be examined as well, but this would infer that she must be moved and have items of clothing removed. This is something the forensic crime scene processing unit should do.
Did we go up to page 11?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna make sure I'm on this. I was
Oh,
like, wait,
sorry, sorry, sorry.
it was me. I wanted to make sure I was keeping up because I'm doing a pretty good job of it. I think I just need to make sure I turn. I
If
was
she
kind of
had
looking.
a yeah, you're doing good.
Thank
If
you.
she had a cell phone or computer nearby, this should be described, logged, and transported to the digital forensic lab for a digital forensic examination. Did she communicate with anyone? Did this communication indicate conflict? Did her husband or boyfriend contact her? Did anyone else contact her? This is all stuff that they're looking into, right? All these warrants, right? All these communication, like they're looking into all this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You have to got to get to know your victim
Hmm.
and what their life was about, what their habits were, what their usuals were, all those things
What was going on in their lives, and
at the
any
time of the crime.
conflict, and
Yeah,
who'd you last contact, and
all that stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. This may help investigators look in the right direction if things turn out to be not so obvious. Again, we can't assume if it was the husband or boyfriend just because there's been a history of there may have been a history of domestic violence or PFA, despite this being very common. Also, she may have children's furniture for nieces or nephews, so we can't assume that she had kids. When moved, all items have an inventory.
That's interesting.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
mean, you know what I mean? When you're investigating a crime scene, if you see things that belong to a
Kids.
child, would you assume there's a child in the home?
Yeah.
But here they got to stop and think twice. Well, is it theirs or is it a niece or a nephew?
Could be
Okay.
babysitting.
Yeah, right. You could be grandma. Is this lady a grandmother? Is she a mother? Is she an aunt? What got going on here?
Yeah, you never know
There's,
anymore.
you don't. You honestly don't know.
You
So
can't even tell by the age of somebody. You might think it's her grandkids. It could be your kids. You know what I mean?
exactly. I
Like,
had a baby at 40. I'm not, and I already had 2 grandchildren by that time. They were little, but no, I did not either. I said that backwards. They came a little bit later, but he's not terribly too much older than the kiddos. But
right.
yeah, you don't know, you can't. People are, especially nowadays, like a lot of women choosing college, right, in the careers, and they're getting married a little bit later in life. They're having children a little bit later in life, which
Yep.
is like normal now after 30 to have babies to start having your family versus your 20s from back in the day. So you can't never just assume or and plus you got grandparents that raise their grandchildren,
True. It's very
right? You just couldn't assume it was like automatically a child, their biological child or some son of that or whatever.
true.
Totally interesting stuff, guys. Y'all also thank you guys for coming in and hanging out with us. And again, Dolphin and Firefly for alerting me this was there and for coming up and helping us with this read. They're doing me a huge favor. I'm getting to rest my voice and sip on my coffee.
No worries.
It's like Firefly's storytelling right now.
It's so neat, though. It's very cool. When moved, all items will have inventory receipts which will document the movement for chain of custody form. All this is for the accountability and integrity of the evidence, and thus the proper outcome of the criminal investigation. Sorry, I'm losing it. Failing to do so leads to injustice. There can be a clear link between victim and offender, but if this is not accounted for via chain of custody, then it will be inadmissible. Interesting.
Gotta
Okay.
have that chain of custody. Even my intro
Yeah.
talks about chain of custody, right? Because of this case, because Anne brought chain of custody up very early on in this investigation through some of her documents when she started to slip out little things here and there that she wanted us to, you know, she was talked about question the chain of custody on things, and it was
I'm
alluding to like the sheath, you know.
Yes, I'm very curious to see the chain of custody on the sheet. Hopefully they have that all, you
Oh,
know.
you know they do. Oh
Yeah.
man, come
After
on.
it's clinched
They're not
and
as stupid as Koberger wants us to think they were.
I
Small
know.
Oh, not all small town cops are stupid. They might be a little slow, they might not, some may be a little, like over there in Kentucky and be all shady and shit, but, they're not all stupid enough to not document something like that, and if they are that stupid, shame on them, right?
Yep, right.
Right?
Right.
That's a major piece of evidence under your victim with what you could obviously see with the naked eyes, possibly probably stab wounds all over them, you know? Yeah, you better have a good chain of custody on that thing.
Absolutely. Right. Outreach to other agencies and immediate elements of the investigation. A lot of these inquiries would occur concurrently with the crime scene investigation. Does she have kids? The county records office should give us this information. If so, the welfare of the children should be ensured. Are we aware that there are disheveled items of children's furniture around? But where are the kids? Calls to be made to family members of the deceased would help narrow down the locations. Okay.
Mm.
Calls to the clerk of court's office to see if there is PFA out on husband or boyfriend should be made. What's PFA?
Um, to see if there is a PFA out on husband or boyfriend, like a protective order.
Okay, that makes
As
sense.
I just glanced down, I get it now because if you have a child involved and a deceased person, they're going to mention Amber Alert. Was there a child present
Mhm.
during the murder
Where
and
are they? Yeah.
abducted, right?
Right, that's true.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, go ahead. Carry on, ma'am.
That's a good point. The husband or boyfriend of the deceased woman should be contacted to establish an alibi. He needs to be immediately located and questioned. Wow, okay, so they got Jack right away, seems like,
Right, yeah.
and did
Jack
that.
walked, well, when Jack walked up on the scene, remember?
Mhm.
This is what he that they this is what was this is what was put out between him and the Gonzalez, and I believe there was an article with the law enforcement, but Jack allegedly was awoken by his friends. Something's happening down at Kaylee's. Something
Yep.
bad is happening. He gets up. He lives right there. He walks down the street, approaches the scene. The cops stop him, and he's telling them, "That is my girlfriend's house. I am Jack Decor." They're like, "Who are you?" He tells them exactly who he was, where he
Mhm.
lived, where he just came from. They stopped him dead in his
And
tracks
they
right there.
must have looked at her phone and found out, like, they made all these calls that he didn't answer, like, "What's going on here?"
Yeah, but at that point, had they looked at her
Question.
phone like that, right? I mean,
Maybe not immediately. Yeah, that's
right?
true.
They didn't know yet she was making calls back and forth to him at that time of the morning. They just know all of a sudden there's this guy walking up. They just got on scene. They're discovering what's in that house. There's a kid walking up saying, "That's my girlfriend." Hold up, buddy. And then they took Jack and they questioned Jack for hours and
Mhm.
hours, took his phone and held his phone for days and days, right? We heard all of
Yep.
that.
Yep.
So immediately Jack was suspect,
Yeah.
which
They
rightfully
did their
so.
due diligence and they
Right,
cleared him. So,
right. Because how many times do we hear these stories about these young women, older women, like the lady that was murdered by her husband in prison that we watched this morning, right? From the
mhm.
conjugal visit. You know, how many times when a woman is harmed, it's usually the man
Yep.
in her life. And that's a statistic, guys. That's not me being shady at men. It's just, it is what it is. So,
Yep.
of course, they're, and a lot, how many women have been, went missing, and the husband's got to be the first guy they look at. You got Scott Peterson, you got that other dude, you got Morphew, you got Crystal Rogers. I could just start naming these damn women that are missing right now or deceased, and their husbands are on trial. It's crazy.
Yep.
Oh, well,
Absolutely.
we got Sarah Boone, the exception. She's gonna put that what we know what she did to her man. But
Ugh.
Eileen Warnes, if you look her up in Florida, she's a female serial killer. But it's more men, harming the women. But so, all right, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Okay. The kids should be located as soon as
Something wrong
possible.
with that.
An Amber Alert should be set if they are not accounted for. Does their father even have rights to see the kids under normal circumstances? And did he take them? Neighbors should be questioned to see if their father was around or if any suspicious person was present. Page 12.
Right, they'll look into the men in her life. Was the dad involved in the kid's life, and was there anybody suddenly around? The
Yep,
Because they could have murdered the mom just to take the child, right?
true.
Yeah. I got to go to the restroom real quick, but keep reading.
Yeah, on page 12. Did you put on 12?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Oh, okay, I'll keep reading.
Okay.
Anyone who normally passes the scene, such as a mailman, should be questioned and have an alibi established. Where were the neighbors when this happened? Their alibi should be evident and supported. Did they notice anything unusual? Maybe the father was seen with the kids leaving the scene. This can be important evidence if the father was not responding and the kids are not located. The Amber Alert can be set and based on the vehicle, plate numbers, and description of the father if applicable. Eyewitness and surveillance footage in the trailer park, surrounding area, drugstore which oversees the trailer, or nearby gas station can give us information on this crime. Surveillance footage is circumstantial evidence but may lead investigators to the right in the right direction and into the apprehension of the suspect. If we can't gather conclusive information by the end of the investigation, the FBI Violent Criminal Apprehension Program can help. VICAP, which is Violent Criminal Apprehension Program, may be utilized if this case happens to be unrelated to a domestic dispute. This may be the work of a serial killer. Ooh, though this is highly unlikely. Still, we are only looking at the facts of the investigation rather than conjecture. and we can only say for sure once the suspect is apprehended and the evidence is strong enough to say what happened with scientific certainty. The compilation of evidence in the preliminary report, progress report, closing report, and prosecution report. My notes enabled that I wrote a thorough and accurate preliminary case report, which contained all the facts of the case. I will need to update it with progress report as we track down suspects and eventually create the closing and prosecution reports, which will be used in court if we get evidence of a specific person who committed this specific crime. The closing report will be the culmination of all the facts after the investigation and lab analysis, which lead to the most accurate reconstruction of the scene possible.
Okay, I'm back from the bathroom. Are you still on 12 or did you move to
I'm,
13?
I'm still on 12,
Okay,
doing the
okay,
close and compilation of evidence here.
okay.
The steps that I have listed will ensure that the prosecution report and closing report reflect a proper investigative procedure with full admissibility of evidence into court. All the notifications were made, and the evidence chain of custody investigative procedures ensured the integrity and accuracy of the evidence of the crime scene. With thorough documentation, it is unlikely that defense will be able to discredit the investigation and render evidence inadmissible. Oh, interesting. This is clear. This is amazing. This is clear. This, I'm sorry. This
You're good.
clear information will allow the jury to deliberate based on all the evidence. Finally, adding all this information to the FBI's National Incident Based Report System, or NIMBRS, will allow the FBI's Uniform Crime Report to give summative information of all applicable crimes to help police officers, criminologists, and criminal investigators understand the social trends of crime, thus aiding future cases. Wow, what
And,
a report this was.
and with thorough documentation, it is unlikely that the defense will be able to discredit the investigation and
Mhm.
render evidence inadmissible. That's a pretty strong. Yes.
So interesting that they had that document in there.
Right? What do you think, Dolphin? Dolphin's like, I'm chilling. Wow. That's a lot in that. So that what is it? So this is an affidavit in compliance for the grand jury.
Oh, this next thing
This
is the Dick's Sporting Good. It's one of those certificates
yeah,
of authenticity. So it's the guy certifying that,
that the
you
Dick's
know,
transaction.
it was accurate. And
Yep. So yeah, he's certifying. He's authenticating the record there
so
on
that
that.
proves he's verifying that he purchased that.
He's verifying that the information is accurate, right? The file that contains the evidence, the purchase, all like that's what they're going after. The defense want them to authenticate that video footages, any receipts, documentation they have, and the
Oh,
way to
I'm
do
back.
it.
I was in the kitchen. What did you
Oh,
just
you're
ask me?
good. What your thoughts were on that big document
Oh,
that
his
Firefly
paper?
was? Yes, the
Oh,
So
yeah, actually while she was reading that, I was wondering what that like the other like an opposite version from him would have been like, written like, kind of like, oh, if he's having to put himself in the mind of a killer, what would he
yeah.
do?
oh,
Oh
interesting.
yeah,
But I have a feeling he probably has, some of those notebooks or whatever that they took,
Yeah.
from his house or whatever. I have a feeling somewhere on his computer or something that he's got something else for
yeah.
planning, like more planning
Oh,
docs.
absolutely. I'd love
Like
to see
you're
one of
good,
these notebooks that they took, you know?
right?
Mhm.
Because they did. They took notebooks and things of that
Took
nature, and we
notebooks
saw.
and that elusive page 118, whatever's underlined on that. God, we
I
would
want to
all love
know.
to know what
I need
that
to
is.
know. I have
It's
to
got to
know.
be something relevant. It
Yeah,
has to be
I
something
have to
relevant.
know. They better bring it. They better bring that out in court. I need to know what was on page 118 and what was underlined and
Yes.
where did it come from? What
Mhm.
was so intriguing about that? You took that into evidence in the
Yeah,
search warrant, right?
right.
And this picture you took of something you left behind but got a picture of, I need to know that too. Um, so I think there, but like you're saying, remember we know that Heuermann had the planning document. And we've heard of other serial killers who have their manifestos and different things of that nature. So it's going to be interesting to see if there's anything in any of that stuff, right? That
Yeah,
they
I
got.
believe.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, did he have any like journals? You know what I'm saying? What's wrong with my mind?
Yeah,
Shoot, the Tapatox was basically that.
that's pretty much what
Yeah.
Tapatox was, but it makes you
Yeah,
wonder if he went
right.
anywhere else. That's the only
What
one
the
we
hell was
know.
Mhm.
that? What is this? Why won't it turn where I can see it? All the what is that?
Just
Like for you can see it for a second, but
oh, it's just
Is that the
redacted, I guess.
I
DoorDash?
know, but when I flip it, I can see it for a second,
Oh,
but
you
it won't
can?
stay.
Oh, I didn't see that.
What?
Yeah.
Watch.
I think this is
Oh,
a DoorDash record.
See it?
oh.
Take a screenshot real quick, somebody. Damn it, man. I keep
Oh, okay, gotcha.
yeah, like it won't stay. So,
Let's see if it does
damn
that
it.
for me.
Yeah, it's the DoorDash record.
Yeah. Okay, so what we got here? Flip this baby around.
Oh, wow, yeah, it does do that when I do it too. Okay.
Hmm.
Ah.
It's like sneak peek, right? So this is a Kelsey Pearson, and she's certified. I am the custodian of records, and she works as an administrator for the DoorDash company. And this is her just authenticating that their business, that those records, that the she's also law enforcement response representative. So that's a thing. That's the second time we've seen that exact title, right? We saw it with the Amazon thing too. So they have the, that office that handles these types of requests for them. And that's what she's done is she's certified that that is an authenticated record, the DoorDash stuff. And Latah County, this is the affidavit of Shannon Glinsky. Yeah, Glinsky. Being sworn, duly sworn, do hereby state the following information is true and correct. They are employed as owner of the oh, okay, they own E&S Services, the business we've been talking about over there on Johnson Avenue in Pullman, and they're verifying that their record is authentic as well. Video is provided from the video camera located at E&S Services to law enforcement. The video is kept by E&S Services in their regular course of business that complies with the Idaho code there. The video is made as regular practice of the business. Like we said earlier when we talked about it, they can easily verify these damn business uh, videos and stuff. So that's what that is. They're verifying their stuff is authentic. Nobody made it up. Department of Commerce, um, from the records custodian office there, data administrator, and they're authenticating records there from the National Centers for Environmental Information. Which particular record does this pertain to, though?
Meteorological.
Oh,
Meteorological.
the meteorologist?
Yeah,
Meteorological
records,
stuff?
like the weather
Okay, the
records.
Department of
Yeah.
Commerce. I got you. That makes sense. Commerce. Okay, that, yeah. The National Weather Service information. Um, okay, so more certification for that. This is someone named, come on, stop. This is Melissa's certifying the records. For oh, these are for the PNC Bank. Sorry, guys. PNC Bank National Association, authenticating those records. Affidavit of Gray Anderson, a manager of Sunset Mart, located in Pullman. So there is that one they're authenticating. That's the video cameras that captures the car over there. Coming home, yeah, 5:25 a.m. The approximate times of 5:25 are accurate. So he's certifying that. Uh, T-Mobile Metro, law enforcement relations, and of course, all redacted. You got your 4782 and then the 4818. 47. So there's two numbers. Which was one of these is Coburger, right? And one was who was the other one for? Who had AT or T-Mobile? So I can't remember right
His
offhand.
was the 8458.
That's right. That's right. I can't remember. It's they all run together, all the search warrants. I can't remember who had what service as far as their phones. So this is authenticating T-Mobile records um, through them. The Moscow Police Department. Um, Ryan Flatley is the custodian for Verizon. So they're verifying that the Verizon business records are authentic. This one is this like the bottom of something or something. Look, what the hell's going on with that? Okay,
Oh.
what you got?
I was looking in Sleuthy's spreadsheet for
Mm-hmm.
T-Mobile, and it kept saying, two unknown subscribers.
Oh,
And then I was looking
did
for
those
the
numbers look familiar to
numbers.
you? That was
They didn't pop
yeah.
up.
I was
You
about to
said
say, let
what?
me go.
4782?
Yeah, let me roll back to it because we know these numbers. And that's like I didn't reckon. The last four of the first one is 4782.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the 4818 I had seen before, but I can't recall whose those numbers were.
Kaylee is 4818, but that's,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one was the 4782. So these are, again, T
It
Mobile
is 4782.
4782.
I don't see
Is
that on
the
the sheet
second.
at all.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's maybe Dylan or
Yeah,
Bethany.
maybe so. Okay, and then we got the Verizon. They're authenticating their record as well. It doesn't specify anything about a number or anything there specifically, just verifying their records. And this is about the Elantra. So we got the tag and registration cover, title and registration cover sheet. So this is his registration for his car, I guess. Got your VIN number, you got your Elantra license plate number, Hyundai 2015, Brian C. Koberger, address redacted. Um, Same owner, out of state, actual mileage 115,000. Prior title, PA, that's about all it says. And that's just authenticating the car. So, vehicle title application. When did he get this car? Does it say, where's the dates on this thing at down here? April 2022, April 20th. Sale date, April 20th of 2022. Did he buy that car not long before he moved there?
One of his parents owned the car before.
Did they? And they
That's what
transferred
people were
ownership.
saying, yeah.
Well, let's see. Let me hold on. This is a registration, so their name. Oh, the former owner's name's redacted. It says right there. It would have been owner, and then they would have transferred it over to Brian Koberger, and the other person is redacted. So, yeah. Old boy didn't get his car until April of 2022. That's when it officially became his. Hmm. Certificate of title, originally filed in 2016, but it doesn't have to be by him. My son deals like look at this shit from another state, dude. Tell me what you think. Okay, that's all that is the car registration and vehicle information on that. His odometer disclosure stuff, 115,000 miles, like we said. The date of transfer, 11/18. That's when he transferred the over to the new. When did he get the new tag? What day?
November 18th, he went, yeah,
Yeah,
five
that's the
days
date
after
of
the murders
transfer.
to do
So
his
when he
license plate.
yeah, the
Hmm.
date he transferred the license plate over on the 18th, it says right there that said they logged that car at 115,000 miles.
So, and he said he estimated 115,000 miles even, right?
It's what it says here on the odometer reading.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, my little spreadsheet that I did, the
Mhm.
last thing that I had was 111,808 on August 15th. Jesus. So he put 3,000 miles, a little
Oh,
over
and
3,000 miles, or about 3,000 miles in
so he was
three
driving a
months.
lot. That's a lot of driving for small town right there, college and all, busy. That's a lot. Where was you driving to? Huh. How many times were you circling your prey? Or the driving in the
Unless he's
night?
just really bad at rounding up or whatever.
Well, they would usually, if a state requires you to have that on, they're going to go look. They'll go out to the, they, and it's displayed. It all
Yeah, but it's
depends.
an even number.
True.
So
Well,
that's why I was thinking he estimated it. He wrote it in on the
he could
form.
have. Yeah, he very well could have just done that. So, he knows better than everybody. He ain't got to put the exact number or nothing. The odometer disclosure title extension statement release of interest. So there's very specific things about what you that 16,000 pound car. In Florida, you get in trouble if you fudge with them car shit. Especially there was a lemon law that has finally passed here because everybody fudging with the mileage of a car.
Well, if you notice right where he wrote it in to the right,
Uh huh.
he didn't check the, oh, this is an estimate. He said this is actual mileage. But I'm like, what are the chances that when he's right there, it's
Right.
115,000
Right.
even?
Exactly. Right. Exactly. I get it. They're just going through the information about how they calculate it. Okay, that's all part of the thing. Department of Licensing, this information pertains to the record of Brian Koberger. It's just, again, authenticating his commercial driver's license status. Oh, no, personal driver's license. Okay, there it is. I was about to say, he ain't got no CDL, does he? For what?
Look at
Okay.
the date on that.
On this one here or back up?
For his driver's license, when was it issued?
Okay, let's go here. License issued July 1, 2022. What the hell?
Mm-hmm.
Expires November 1, 2027. Are you telling me he didn't ever get a wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Yes, that's what I said. Look at the date, and then it'll
Wait
click
a
for
minute,
you.
Dolphin. Did this guy never have a license or a car until right before going to school in Washington?
No, 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 no. He changed his driver's license as soon as he
Well,
got to
yeah.
Washington, but he didn't change his plates on the
Yeah,
car
okay, got
until
you. I'll
5 days
never
after the
follow.
murders.
Well, he changed his license over that. And I don't, when I move, like I guess going state to state is different. You might want to change, but if I move to another address, I don't always remember to go change the address. Like it can be wrong forever. I could care less, but I know it's important to do it. So
Mm-hmm.
he moved there. You're right. He changed his actual driver's license uh, to the new address, but he didn't change the car title. Well, then again, but then would he have been required to do so on his birthday as far as the tag goes? It's like here in Florida. But I would have waited until it all and done it all at the same time.
Right,
Honestly, I would have, right? So what's up with
right.
that?
Exactly. He's a student. Students don't move to other states and change their driver's license to the state that they're in when they're a resident of a different state and they're,
Yeah, because they have the
because they go back
card,
on the summers,
right?
like during
And
the
they have their
summers and
student
stuff.
card and the student IDs and all that. You wouldn't be required to do that. So I get it. What that is odd, isn't it?
Hmm.
That's a bit odd for us to take notice. Yeah, glad you pointed that out because that is peculiar. Ulterior motive, huh? That makes me think things. Damn, this case sent me down the rabbit holes, but not this wrong. Oh my God, not the wrong ones. Oh, I was not expecting that. Um, he's smiling and um, driver's license for Brian, and it was like she said, issued on 7/1/22, so July 1st of 2022, and he got to Pullman in June.
Hmm.
Yep, 22nd, right? So or something like that. So this is like what 2 weeks.
Well, he got the phone on June 23rd, and other receipts in that big long self authentication doc says that he bought something in Pennsylvania on June 24th.
Yeah.
2022. So then a few days or whatever, however long to drive out, to Washington, because that's like
Okay.
2,500 miles.
Mm-mm-mm.
Then basically, as soon as he's there on July
There's,
1st, he changes his driver's license.
yeah, Coburger. Okay. This is driving record. Um, Driver information Brian Coburger, 28 years old, 6 feet, 185 pounds, with blue eyes. Residence address redacted. Um, Change reason, driver insurance effective. Dates are there from July of 2022. License and ID details, registration and all that good stuff, fees. And this is the stuff, showing he owns that car. So this is an affidavit of compliance, the state of Washington, county of Spokane. This is Washington Trust Bank, and they're authenticating their records. Original copy, or okay, no, these are copies of all the documents requested, and they are in compliance of the demands of the subpoena. Was this stuff used at the grand jury? Oh yeah, it says right at the top, duh, grand jury. Duh.
Hmm.
Like subpoena, that's got to be grand jury. That no document has been withheld. This is from the Washington Trust Bank
But this is the
files.
bank that he went to the ATM like later that afternoon.
So yeah, I wonder if it's to establish a timeline to show the car. Was there a withdrawal? What's happening here? So this is grand jury was presented with this evidence. That's what makes me wonder what was so about this to the grand jury. You know what I mean? The
Scroll
watch.
down.
Oh, okay. Oh, let's see. Um,
I think is it on the next page?
all right. Let's see. So certificate under the rule
There you go.
90211. So Ben Lowen declares he is an employee of the National Trust Bank. He hereby certifies that the accompanying documents are authentic copies of photocopies of ATM transaction images, bank statements, online account opening application, what Met Teller audit report, true, and then whatever that word is, I can't read it. Trail report, something report, Washington Trust Bank.
Audit trail report.
Okay,
Yeah,
audit
net
trail.
teller. Audit trail
So
report.
they got the transaction images from the ATM, right? They took
Right,
his
because
little
this is in that
picture.
long list of stores and
Yeah.
banks and whatnot.
Hmm. And so they're authenticating this, but is this of Coburger though, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Makes me wonder what's in the stuff that they like that. You know what I mean? That was the last page. Oh my God, we got through 70 pages like that.
Hmm.
Finally. I just heard my grandbaby yelling at his little friends playing that game. They'll be in there trying to do all kind of weird stuff playing that VR. I think I would get dizzy playing that VR headset thingy. I'm not sure I could handle that. So, what else do we have in the documents, ladies? Any thoughts on what we've read so far besides that crazy, the crime scene thing was like really interesting. Super crash course. Hang on, Joe. What'd you say so unrelated? What is going on over here? Not many chatters going on. Were you guys just listening to the presentation and Firefly read that document to us? Um,
Oh,
Joe,
I probably put everyone to sleep.
oh, I don't know what Joe's got a comment so unrelated. I don't know what that means.
Oh,
Joe over here talking about conjugal visits and Lori Dave
I
Ballard.
know.
Oh,
Joe.
dude, stop it. I'm going to go get me a fresh Coke. Um, so let's see. What else do we have in the list, ladies? Did y'all read anything else
Um,
yet that
I don't
was
think I don't think we
Yeah,
got
we
anything,
went
Joss,
through.
did we? Did
Yeah,
you?
we
Oh,
did.
okay. Oh,
Oh,
you went
Dolphin,
Oh,
through
like
it
a
all.
bunch of
I was
you want to take the wheel for a moment. Jesus
Oh,
is
I
like,
was getting ready to go back to the kitchen. I
girl,
just came back because I heard you
actually,
ask me something real
no,
I
quick.
don't
is
remember which else was good. Because
what are
we
you
looked
doing?
really quick.
Hang on,
We
Dolphin. What are you doing in that kitchen? What are you cooking? Are you
I
cooking?
want
Oh, I was
something.
getting ready. I was washing a pot because I was gonna boil some water and make some crab legs.
Oh, that
Mm,
sounds good.
how
Hmm.
did I know it? It was going to be something along that line. I knew it.
Yeah.
I did. I felt it in my bones. My son's gonna be making dinner, and I'm getting hungry, so he can. That's fine. I can sit right here and eat and mute out while I'm eating. But okay, so what other record or was there another particular document? Because I haven't, like I said, I just started going through the list right before we came on here.
We went
Let
to Amazon Click Activity, but I don't remember if anything good was in there. I was kind of getting sleepy when you were reading it, so.
uh,
Um,
we have the inflammatory evidence, the vague and undisclosed expert testimony, the term murder, term psychopaths, the
Yeah,
data.
we didn't open those.
We have not, and these are the responses, right, to things.
Yeah,
mhm.
we've already looked at like the 911 call, the
Anything decent, anything worth.
AT&T
I don't want to go through the boring ones right now. It's getting
Yeah,
more.
yeah,
text
yeah.
messages.
It's we're we were live this morning, so if there's some really important stuff to get to, I would rather go ahead and go on and get to it.
Right,
Let's
right.
see, suspect vehicle. There's one here about that. Did y'all open and read that one?
Where do you see that? Is that in the
Three
defendant
twenty
section?
four. Defendant's reply to state's motion in limine 12. Make and model of the vehicle is right above the Amazon click
Oh, I
activity.
didn't
It's
open
only
that.
3 pages. Let's see.
The bushy eyebrows.
I don't remember. It's not much in that.
Okay, I'm gonna open it and just start reading, and I'll write down what I've
Sure.
read. So I can keep up for myself what I'm doing here. Okay, so I'm gonna click on this, guys, as I'm interested to know anything about what they're
Yeah.
trying to do with the car. So this is. Oh, I'm gonna have to get my screen up, aren't I? The 1 second. One moment. Oh, excuse me. You're good, Joe. I know you got a show to get over there too. We didn't expect to come live, but here we are. I will catch up with you guys here in just a little bit, though. Go have a great show. Um, Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you. All right, guys. Let's see. This is the defendant's motion in limine, or I'm sorry, the reply to the state's response to the defendant's motion in limine. So this is about the make and model of the suspect vehicle. Comes now Brian C. Koberger by and through his attorneys of record and hereby replies to the state response to motion in limine number 12, make and model of suspect vehicle filed with the court on the 17th of March 2025. Idaho Rules of Evidence states that the relevant evidence is admissible. Relevant evidence is that which evidence is that which has any tendency to make a fact more or less probable than it would without the evidence. Let's get on to the good stuff here. Mr. Koberger's motion sought to prevent the state from saying that the vehicle depicted on the 112 King Road camera was a Hyundai Elantra. Remember, we read about that in the document. They didn't want them to say specifically that particular one at 112 was because you couldn't tell for sure. So the camera was a Hyundai Elantra, and that the vehicle was the same vehicle identified as the Elantra on 1125 Ridge Road. That is in the province of the jury. The state points out that there is no continuous video stream to observe the path of travel. As the state points out, they cannot show a vehicle at 1112 continuously moving to location of 1112 Ridge Road because they are two separate videos separated by distance and opportunity for other places to drive or park and opportunity for other vehicles to appear on camera. It is a question for the jury. I kind of agree with that. The state's argument would make sense if Mr. Koberger sought exclusion of the 1112 video. He seeks exclusion of speculative statements that are in the province of the jury. Mr. Koberger is not seeking to exclude S.A. Imel's testimony on these grounds. His testimony about the make and model of the vehicle at 1112 will be subject to cross-exam at trial, and I agree with that. Subject to It's subject to interpretation, and it's subject to two experts to discuss on how they determine what's what. And we get there's no continuous video, so I get it. But hmm, we read that argument the other day when they were trying to get that out of there. Okay, good luck, because I think they're going to be able to show. So that was the Amazon Click one. There's also the one concerning that 404B evidence, um, bushy eyebrows. Let's see what they got to say about this one. Let me get the screen up, guys. Sorry. I know it's getting like dinner time for a lot of you guys. I thank you for this little jumping in on our impromptu live. I will probably pick things up in the morning, and finish going over. I'll look things over and see if there's anything like I really want to talk about a lot. Okay, this is the reply to state's response to the defendant's motion in limine number 7, bushy eyebrows. We've read the filings back and forth so far, on the bushy eyebrow statements and stuff. Okay, comes Brian Koberger through his attorney. Um, they're replying to the state's response to the defendant's motion in limine and is referring to the witness identification, the bushy eyebrows. Here's their argument. Mistaken identifications have been one of the leading causes of wrongful convictions in the United States for decades. True, and still are. When a witness swears under oath to the identification of the person on trial, the impact cannot be understated. In this case, DM is allowed to say that she saw bushy eyebrows. It will not be different than her pointing to Mr. Koberger and saying that is him. To make matters even more prejudicial, the state wants to admit into evidence a picture of Mr. Koberger as if DM identified him in the photo. As if DM. No, they made it clear she couldn't ID him in a photo. Is the photo she talking about the bathroom selfie? I don't recall reading that in the document that DM, picked him out of that because of that picture. Your word salad, Ann. I got you just now. This is um, this is how wrongful convictions occur. The photo of Mr. Koberger that the state attached to its response is not relevant and is overly prejudicial. This is akin to the state trying to identify Mr. Koberger for Dylan Mortensen. Maybe it's a different picture, I don't know. Or create its own corroboration for Dylan Mortensen. Previously, that she could not identify him, because she said she could not identify him. And she never stated in any of the documents, right, girls, that we've read, that she picked him out of a lineup. She didn't recognize a
No.
picture of him. She looked him up herself online, right, and
Mhm.
still didn't say that was him. So what are you talking about, Miss Taylor? Um, so anyway,
And they're
there.
blowing up the fascination with drawing eyes and eyebrows because I hate to say it, on another account, um, another YouTuber showed a picture of Dylan in her bedroom with the wall behind it, the pegboard,
Oh, I've
and
seen it.
it's pictures of eyebrows like doing makeup. You know how
Right.
eyebrows are a big thing nowadays. That's all it is. It's
I,
not like there's all these photos of creepy eyebrows and
it wasn't
I
like that. It
she
wasn't
really makes it sound so much worse than it is, you know?
Well, when she first described it. My
Mhm.
mind's thinking, "Damn, does she got these big ass pictures of
Yeah,
these eyebrow things all over the
yeah,
room?" You know what I mean?
yeah,
But that's not what it. You're right. It was a pegboard behind her with some girly type shit attached to
mhm.
it and different type eyebrow.
Yeah, I'm
And
like, "That's it?
these
That's all you're talking about?" I'm like, "Come on. That's
these
not
girls
like."
spend a ton of times on their eyebrows. We know that.
Yeah,
Maybe
everybody's
she'd pay more attention to detail of something like that, right? Maybe she's an eyebrow.
yes.
If that's literally all she could see, she's damn well gonna notice some things and be able to say, "That's all I know. I remember that." So,
Yeah, that's
but
true.
yeah, they're gonna like I say, be careful on them YouTube streets because we've shown the picture here. I think we did. I know I posted it. Um, there, yeah, it wasn't like the theatrical way it was described in the document,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Can we say it like that to make it, yeah, be fair?
because it's
Whatever.
good because it described her also watching certain shows like Forensic Files or whatever it was, some sort of show like that, and being
Well,
obsessed with shows like that. And then they mentioned the eyebrow thing, and I'm like, oh, it sounded creepy
yeah.
and scary.
It
But
says here,
no.
this is, they cite a particular interview
Mhm.
apparently.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and this is akin to the state trying to identify Mr. Koberger for DM or create its own corroboration for her. DM previously said that she could not identify him, and they referred that to a motion in Limine 7, Exhibit 9. They call it the Lake Interview, page 96. So, yes, she clearly says she can't identify him. There are literally millions of people in the world who might be described as having bushy eyebrows. The term itself is subjective, not when your client literally has them. And DM has a fascination with drawing eyes and eyebrows. Motion in limine number 7, exhibits 4 and 5. So they expand. They are going to it are submitted. They submitted two exhibits showing that Dylan was into the eyebrows and the eyebrow drawings. Um, okay. The state contends that DM statements are independently reliable as law enforcement did not employ a witness identification procedure. Mr. Koberger is not suggesting that DM's footnote uh, descriptive words were developed in conjunction with a lineup. Dylan was interviewed 5 times. Law enforcement was involved with each interview. According to the state, Dylan's multiple descriptions of the intruder were based on her own recollection and were not the result of suggestive identification procedures employed by law enforcement. Mr. Koberger points the court to the following instances which are suggestive. Oh, and he's going to tell us what he thinks is suggestive. Okay. What prompted the frozen shock face statement? Let's tell us that. In the second interview on November 13th, DM was interviewed at the police department by Detective Mowry, who inquired about facial features and asked DM if she knew what color the intruder's eyebrows were. Mowry is the person who mentioned eyebrows, not Dylan. How would he know to ask her specifically about eyebrows if she didn't mention eyebrows? Would he ask her what color clothes did you think he had on? I saw a man in my house. Do you know what he was wearing? What color? Did she already state black first? So how would he? And word salad. In the third what would he say? Color of eyes? No, go straight to brows. In the third interview on November 17th, Dylan was interviewed by Detective Gooch, who asked Dylan if she knew what a balaclava was and showed her a picture.
Mhm.
Maybe that came after she described he was wearing some sort of face covering and they were like looking things up to get a maybe was it did it look like this? Did it look like this? Did it look like this? Versus, different types of ski masks or whatever the hell they wear in them cold climates. In the fourth interview on December 1, Dylan drew the mask for the interviewer. Ooh, I'd like to see that, wouldn't y'all? Because that's
Yeah.
Exhibit 7 in the Williamson interview transcript. A copy of DM's drawing is attached. Unseal it. Um, they call it Dylan Mask Drawing. Oh my God. It looks remarkably similar to a balaclava.
Yes.
The state argues that Dylan is a reliable witness should the court apply the 5-factor Manson-Biggers balancing test to evaluate witness reliability. It should not ignore either the limited amount of time that Dylan had to view the intruder or her state of intoxication. A witness is less likely to provide an accurate identification from a fleeing view and a witness's attention is likely compromised when they are intoxicated. State versus Alvarez, and they cite Idaho codes here, different things. Okay, Dylan saw the intruder briefly in a dark hallway and in her own words, she was probably very drunk and tired when she saw the intruder at 4 a.m. Should the court apply a relevance test and weigh the reliability of Dylan, exclusion of the term bushy eyebrows is appropriate for all of the reasons explained in the Manson-Biggers test, and intoxication is referenced in Alvarez, I'm sorry. If the court decides not to rely upon the Manson-Biggers Alvarez, it should consider the scientific studies that explain the fragility and inaccuracy of memory. Remember, we just had we read about the witness, the that speaks about the intoxication levels.
Mm-hmm.
State's witness that the Ann's trying to keep out like 22 of their witnesses. This analysis, which is applicable to a court's decision to limit this evidence, is the fact that scientific studies conducted on memory show that there are several steps to creating and retaining memory, and influences such as amount of time to exposure to view, the amount of stress involved, level of intoxication, and post-event influences, among others, should be taken into consideration when determining reliability. The science of memory is laid out below. Oh my goodness, we're gonna get a science lesson in memory. The first phase in the development of memory is acquisition of encoding phrase. The acquisition of memories depends on perception and all of the factors that affect perception, such as distance, lighting, and duration of exposure. Because perception also depends on several individualized factors, the encoding phase of developing memories is affected by many of those same criteria. Wow, they're going to get deep, y'all.
Oh my gosh! So this footnote below talks about everything she drank that night.
For real, let's see. On Saturday, November 12th, through the early morning hours of Sunday, November 13th, Dylan had consumed champagne, 9 to 10 seltzers, White Claws with 5% alcohol, Borg, is that Borg?
Borg, yeah,
A non
a
con a
concoction.
I'm like a non a concoction of hard alcohol, water, and flavoring in a big plastic jug.
Ugh.
Oh shit, girl was getting down with some jungle juice type stuff. An unknown amount of alcohol while participating in a drinking
Oh,
game.
that's how people end up dead, man. Okay, but that's
Well, I was Dylan's age, and I was that girl right there.
ugh.
I was partying. We were playing drinking games. We were mixing shit up and drinking it, but not like to like alcohol poisoning stage. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
We were having a good time at that age doing the same thing. And I'm not
Mhm.
gonna lie, that I have no
Oh
reason to lie.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah. It's but damn, girl was partying that night
yep.
and we wondered how drunk could this girl have been.
I know.
Jesus, you got the big plastic jug situation happening with
Because well,
water.
I
I need
mean, sounds
mm-mm.
like go lightly prep almost. Hey, because we always had wondered where she was that evening, or was that Bethany? We didn't know.
No, because both of them, Firefly,
Okay, you're right. You're
they
right.
they never elaborated on where these two roommates were
So she was
prior
at
to.
Bethany
some
was at
party.
Sigma Chi
They
with
did it
Xana
on
and Ethan.
purpose. Yeah,
Okay.
well, they did with yes. Okay, so with Bethany, yes, she was over at Sigma Chi, and she witnessed Ethan and Xana at the party, and she places them there all the way up until 2:30. But that is a discrepancy with Xana's dad on that exact time frame right there. So that is where Bethany allegedly was most of the night. We never heard where Dylan was. There was never much talk about where Dylan was. Now I understand
Mhm.
why. Because if
Yeah.
your only witness is proven to be highly intoxicated from the get go, they've been trying to protect this witness
Yeah.
from day one on the state side. You know what I'm saying? It's making sense to me now why there was never, and we weren't supposed to question where Dylan was. Not what they didn't say we couldn't, but I'm just saying nobody focused on it really. I mean, they did, but they were also focused on trying to figure out who else did it besides Coburg or what where Dylan was didn't really become that huge of an issue to a lot of people, right?
Yeah. And I mean,
She was out there, jumping in the truck and all the nefarious. She was the murderer. That's all you needed to know. That
mm,
was the narrative. It was Dylan that did it the whole time. She did the 8 hour, gap. She did the cleanup, all of that. Not in my mind, but in the other people's minds. And a lot of them still feel that way to right now. That's the
I
problem.
do. I know.
That is the problem. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I mean, why not? We all see it. We may not all see it, but we all know it's out there. Um,
And it
and
all could have just been she didn't want to get in trouble for being underage drinking. You know what
yeah,
I
who
mean?
knows? She was so heavily intoxicated, the girl didn't know what to fucking do.
Right.
She honestly, apparently, did not know what to do. It's just like it is what it is at this point. Um, so me and my sister discuss sensory overload all the time. Go figure. Sensory overload has particular relevance to the encoding phase. It can lead to so much incomplete sensory acquisition of confabulation, the creation or substitution of false memories through later suggestion can occur to fill the many gaps that exist. In this case, the time period of observation was seconds at most, with limited lighting, under stress, and expressed fear. Expressed fear, which is and with a witness who was repeatedly expressed she is unsure. I'm trying to figure out some of this stuff come from the defense's words out of their emotion. You know what I mean? Okay, here we go. She was in a frozen shock phase. She did not know if it's a dream, and there is a time delay in her reporting what she saw. The part of the memory process is the retention or storage phase. During this phase, the brain stabilizes and consolidates memories for storage. They are called upon for retrieval. The amount of the amount of data being encoded and retained is one factor that affects this phase. The greater the amount of data presented, especially in shorter periods of time, the less that will be retained. A second key factor is the retention interval. How much time passes between storage of the memory and retrieval of it? A third factor has the most potentially negative effect on memory retention: the post event misinformation effect. The post event misinformation effect. Wow. Exposure to, I don't even know if I can read this with a straight face anymore. Exposure to subsequent information affects how earlier memories are retained and retrieved. This means that an eyewitness exposed to post event misinformation can expect erroneous or even non existent details as if they were true. Misinformation can make you think things that, like that, really? That's
Mm.
interesting. I just not. I'm being a smart ass when I'm looking at that. In this case, not only was there an 8 hour delay in reporting prior to the first law enforcement interview, Dylan was allowed to mingle with Bethany and many other friends. Law enforcement did not separate all of the friends who came to 1122 King Road prior to interviews, and no warning was given to not discuss the facts, and no effort was made to limit such a discussion. Holy wow. It is. All right, thank you, baby. I was wondering when that kind of thing right there was going to be brought up. Hang on.
It's kind of a moot point though because they already had 8 hours to do
Mhm.
that.
Yeah,
So just
but
not being separated in front of the
what they're
police.
alluding
Yeah.
to is they had time to talk amongst themselves and
Create a
create.
story. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the
I'm talking
part
about the
that
part
caught.
where she specifically said the police didn't separate them and whatnot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, I know, but she's that. But yeah, yeah. But they weren't, because the fact that they weren't separated, they had time to talk amongst themselves and make up some stuff.
It did. It did even say that in Coverhurst paper, didn't it? It said to separate the people, the immediate
Yep.
in the immediate area. Make
Well, I
sure they're.
mean, who's to say when they got there, did they,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Did they,
true. That's true.
when they first arrived and the cops got in there and figured out what was going on, and you said the paramedics there, that's all happening. The kids are probably standing right there crying and freaking
Right.
out, but with a cop with their eyes on the whole time.
They probably got an initial statement from them and then said,
Probably
go
took them
to
apart,
the
right?
police station so we can interview you more or something.
Yeah, well, we see them sitting. We see them sitting on
At
that
the
sidewalk together at one
Yep.
point. What probably happened was, if you think about it in your crime scene mind, they get there with the EMS cannot enter a home where a murder has occurred, like a shooting, especially if law enforcement's got to clear the scene. Then they're allowed to go in. So once all that took place and they were all in there, you can believe that the minute they got there, at least 2 to 3 cops, one cop had his eye on those people at all times that called 911, while one went in to check the situation, or maybe two went in, whatever, how many were there. If there was only 2 cops there, one had his eye on the people calling them who were there, and one was in that house checking the situation, clearing the scene. So then at that point, other cops are probably rolling up. Do they take them and separate them at that point for like a, and then take them on down to the station? At some point, they were together because we saw them sitting on the side of the road. But that's all this is coming down to is the opportunity that they could have had to do something and say something, right? And a failure of the cops not to separate them, type of thing. That's all that shit jumps out at me. Um, there's also extensive media coverage. Hang on. So I totally get what's going on here. Oh, that dinner kind of smells good. Law enforcement did not separate all of the friends who came to the residence prior to the interviews, and no warning was given not to discuss the facts, and no effort was made to limit such discussion. Many of the friends who were at one room the night of November 13th. There was also extensive coverage. Okay?
I know I had to think about that when I first read it too, but I guess it's the night after the murder, right?
Right. Later that night, Bethany and Dylan can't stay in that house
Right.
now,
Yeah.
right? So they got a hotel room. I was just talking about that the other day. Do you remember? Do you know who I'm talking?
Yes. They made it sound like they were at the hotel room the night before,
Yeah,
though.
I know what they made it sound.
And that's why had to look at it careful
Yeah,
because I'm like, wait, no, that's afterwards. So
yeah,
it,
yeah. It's like so, but they weren't the only. They didn't stay alone. It appears, right? Their friends may have
mm-mm.
stayed with them, which
Right,
is
right.
Yeah, but it's
so
not like
what?
they're gonna sequester them
Eh,
after they've already talked to
Right?
them that
Exactly.
night. Just like in
Yeah.
Stefan Stearns,
Right.
they sent them to a
Exactly.
hotel together.
So what
So,
if they
yeah.
had their friends there? So what? They weren't
Mhm.
arrested. They weren't charged with anything. They didn't have to. None of that was happening.
Because
So
again, at that point, they've already had like what now going on 9 hours,
yeah,
plus
exactly,
to already their stories were together if they were getting stories together. Their stories
exactly.
were already together, and that has nothing to do with
Done
the
deal.
police not doing something or whatever.
Yes, ma'am. I think all three on the same page with that one. What about you guys, Chad? Are y'all still with us? So let's see. Is this 9 pages long? Is this document? Conclusion. Okay. By the time that Dylan testifies, almost 3 years will have passed. Are they referring to memory decay? Almost 3 years. That's like old persons. Um, they can't help it. Almost 3 years will have passed after 5 law enforcement interviews where her recitation of the events of November 13th changed, and after extensive media coverage about this case, which almost always includes pictures of Mr. Koberger, memory retrieval in these circumstances weighs against reliability. So she's been exposed to so many images of Koberger now, right? Thanks to the extensive media coverage and all the things
Yeah,
over the
still
three
irrelevant.
years. Yeah, they're good. They're good. She's like, that's why she's focused on those eyebrows. Okay. Conclusion. For the reasons addressed above, Mr. Koberger's initial brief, the court should grant Mr. Koberger's motion in limine to exclude Dylan from using the words bushy eyebrows to identify the intruder that she saw, and to exclude Dylan from identifying Mr. Koberger. based on bushy eyebrows. The court must additionally prohibit the state from acting as an identifying witness by admitting a picture of Koberger and evidence in support of Dylan's testimony. Okay, their magas are going to show the picture of the selfie on the 13th to show that what his eyebrows looked like at the time of the crime and why she may have noticed nothing but brows. I don't think that's going to work out for them like that. That's my thought on that. Okay, let me get.
Yeah, it's not
So
gonna work because the other documents that we saw about bushy eyebrows, like, what, days ago or a week or
yep.
whatever ago, in every interview that she had, from like right there outside the house to then later at the police station to then like a few days later, what was it, like 4 days later, then like, a few more, like another week or so or whatever, all the way up until they arrested
What
him
the?
or whatever. That's the first thing she said. And she kept, remember, she kept saying, "That's all I
Yeah,
know. That's all I saw.
that's all I
I
know.
don't even know if I saw his eyes. I don't even know if he
She
had
was,
eyes."
yeah,
She was just like those
right,
bushy
right.
eyebrows, right?
She was
In every last
consistent
one.
about that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right, very consistent. What's in this right here? Is that an eyeball? It's unredacted.
It
It
does
look,
look like an eyeball.
look. It's at the bottom of the document. It's 9 pages. We just got through going through the whole document, right? So you go on down, you go on down, and that's the very last thing I see. I'm like, what the hell is that? Big old unredacted. Um,
Yeah, it looks like
did he
an eye.
I mean, it's almost like maybe she went to draw an eye and add, or did they leave out the bushy eyebrow part? Because it said she drew, well, she drew the mask. Wait,
Is that the mask?
turn it around. Hold the fuck up. Sorry, y'all. I'm retarded.
Oh, it is. It is a mask.
I
Yeah,
am,
yeah,
I am dumb. Let me turn this
Yeah,
around.
that's the rectangular part of the
Wait,
what
yeah. Okay.
wait.
was
There we go.
exposed.
Let me turn it around. Can you guys see it now? Uh-oh. I'm backed up too far. Okay. Let me get, there we go. Everybody see it? So
Should be
this would have
turned.
been,
Oh yeah, I think maybe it's lagging on the screen I'm looking at.
oh, I don't know. I'm on, yeah. On the phone and computer, I know it's lagging because I got both open looking and I can see it's slower on my
That's a
phone.
balaclava.
So there you go. This is the picture that she drew of what she thought this guy was wearing. And
Mhm.
it covers everything, the whole head, the hair, and at least under the mouth and nose. I don't think she remembered exactly if it covered either one. She said that in the document, but she knew it covered the whole head. And all she could see was right there where that right? Y'all can see my pointer.
Yep.
Yeah, she did say specifically that what do you call it? Oh shit. She did say specifically that it wasn't the kind of ski mask with like round eyes or whatever, like
Yeah,
circles. She's
right,
yeah.
right, right, right. It was more of this square like this, right? Or this
Mhm.
shape. Yes. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? I'm gonna screenshot
So
that
Anne
too.
can bitch about her bushy eyebrows all she wants to, because the fact that they now have him purchasing one of these, you know,
Have we
and
looked
all
at the
this
ones
too.
at Dick's? Which ones they have?
Mm-mm.
No. What's the other place?
No,
Well,
because
she.
Under
Let's
Armour.
see.
It was Under Armour, the search that we did. Let's
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
see. Hang on.
Dick's. They.
We
Let
did
me
look at
look.
Dick's a
Let me do
long
a
time
quick.
ago.
We didn't look at. Let's see.
Yeah, they got them.
Oh, I pushed the wrong. Oh, there we go.
Yep, and they've got the kind that have the inserts,
Mm-hmm.
even in that opening to
Okay.
close it up completely.
Here, let me pull this screen up and we'll take a look at right here. This is them. This is showing me here. Get off of here. Get off here. Get away. go
Yep.
away. Okay, so this is Dick's, and I typed in that word balaclava. Here we go, right here. Okay, adult performance, and see this. This can be pulled up, right, up over. Is it gonna let me scroll through these photos? It says it's got different photos. Let me. Oh, here we go. There's be the back, which is gonna help protect and keep any hair in the sides. You can pull it all the way down in the front or the back. Pull up just the mask part, covering the face and nose. Oh, bingo. Wow.
Hmm.
Wow. You know what I'm saying? Good Lord. So, that's what he purchased, along with a K-bar knife. And the person she saw, she describes this, and they found a K-bar knife sheath. Go figure. Wow, guys. I'm getting hungry. I'm gonna have to go eat dinner. Family,
Okay.
I think they've eaten without me. Um, are you ladies going to be available in the morning at some point to go to jump on and do a live? What you got plans for tomorrow? What do y'all got going on? Tomorrow's Thursday. I have to keep checking.
Tomorrow's Thursday. I got no plans.
I'm gonna look at these. After dinner, I'll look through some of these, or maybe while I'm eating, and see what's and get it with you guys and find out if there's what y'all think is also important. We can go through them quickly. The ones that are just they want to talk about, I want to talk about, right?
Yep.
So we can go through them myself. Like I said, we just kind of did the
Yep.
impromptu live earlier, guys, when they dropped. So we'll get more specific and see what we can come up with and look at here.
It's been
Um,
good. 3 hours we've been on, so
have we? Yeah, I can tell I'm getting hungry. Covert
Almost
Dolphin
4.
says Coburger is the gamer too. And I'm thinking that this inner gamer was seeking or was seeping out and he enjoyed the ninja, right?
yeah, that's
You're
true.
right. Yeah, yeah. I can agree with that statement.
That's a good point, actually.
Mhm.
I
Well,
forgot that
yeah,
about him because
Mhm.
that's what his raps were about. Were about World of Warcraft.
yeah.
Mhm.
And see, and my son's all about that Call of Duty, right? Like
Hmm.
his the better the sniper you are, the better everything is, and all this stuff. And I'm like, damn. But yeah, but I get that. I feel that statement a lot. Um, All right, again, everybody, I appreciate you guys coming in and jumping into the live with us. And I'll probably go live in the morning, it may be late morning, give myself
Okay.
little break, a little time to go over things.
Yeah.
But thanks again, ladies, for alerting me that that stuff had dropped. And I appreciate you coming up and hanging out and doing the reads with me. I really do appreciate you ladies doing that with me.
Oh, it's been fun.
Oh, good. I'm glad. So yeah, I'll hit you guys up and let you know what time I decide to go in the morning. Um,
Okay.
everybody, thanks for joining in. Sinead, thank you for being here. Everyone is live tonight. I'm hoping to get into bed, but right, uh, do you probably like the rest of us? You fall asleep listening to it, right? Somebody on
Yeah,
the
I
true
do that
crime.
too. Hmm.
Uh-huh. I think we all probably do. Um, we probably do. All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming in and doing this part of the reads with us. And I'm still documenting times and things like that. And just so in my head I can keep it all straight. It's hard to, now that we're getting a good, accurate, more of an accurate timeline, according to the state, of course. You know. All right,
Hmm.
Dolphin, thank you for coming up. Um, as always, for being here. And Firefly, same thing for you. I appreciate you both.
Oh, mhm.
All right, guys, have a good night. I'll see you next time.
Very
Thank you
well.
all for watching.